back. Padres Fantasy Camp. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you guys on a Wednesday. Is that right?
Yes,
that
is correct.
It is running together. Paulie and I have been out here since Friday. And, man, it is cold out here. It's very dry, as you know. You're in the desert. I've got very cracked and dry skin. And literally every muscle in my body hurts. And I mean down to my toes. Every extremity on my body is just in a tremendous amount of pain. But I did not choke on my breakfast yet this morning. I say yet because I have not eaten breakfast yet. There's still a chance that I can go back-to-back days getting the Heimlich maneuver. It was a really fun story yesterday out at Stretch when everyone heard about it and, of course, proceeded to make every dirty joke you could imagine. Oh, Woodsy, I thought you would be used to that. I thought, and I'm like, all right, I'm at baseball camp. This is what happens. And I mean, everybody was in on it yesterday. If you missed it, I choked on my breakfast yesterday and had to get the Heimlich maneuver from one of my fellow campers, Alex, from B&B Appliance. And it was really, really not a great way to start the day. I'm Woodsy. To my right is our little Sicilian meatball himself, Benjamin Higgins. Good morning, meatball.
Good morning. I hear a lot of complaints from you about how sore you are and how dry it is. And choking on your breakfast. I look at you two. You guys are so happy to be here.
Yeah, we are.
We
really are.
You love this.
Yep.
You are so happy. I don't think I see you happier all year long than this week here at Fantasy Camp in Peoria. So stop with the complaints all the time.
Well, it's more of just it's more observations. You know, it's a good pain. It's a good sore. It's not a good dry. Being dry is too dry. My fingers are like cracking.
It's dry back in San Diego as well.
That's
right
true.
now,
Too dry.
So, yeah.
Actually, shout out to everybody over in Mission Valley that had some nerve-wracking hours yesterday. Paulie Reindl joins us as well, the executive producer of the program. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you? I was FaceTiming with my wife last night after we got home from dinner, and she goes, "How was the day?" I go, honestly, from start to finish, about as bad of a day as you can have out at Padres Fantasy Camp, which is still a pretty good day.
Pretty good day.
But, I mean, from the technical issues in the morning to going out and playing a game in 35-degree weather with wind just whipping you in the face to a bunch of drama to another game. And then, it was a long day, but we're all doing
And you both went 0-2 yesterday, I understand, in your two games.
Lost both games.
About as excruciating as it can be. Tying run on third in the first game, walked off in the second game.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I didn't take an inning off yesterday. I pitched the first 3 innings, gave up a run in each. You're only allowed to throw 3 innings at a time, so I gave up a run in each. Probably 1 or 2 earned, which I haven't thrown in a year. I wasn't too disappointed. Struck out a bunch of guys, walked a bunch of guys. I'm a literal Nuke Lelouch. But without any velocity. Hit a couple people, the usual. And then played the rest of the time at short. So my legs are just on fire. My patella, I have your patella, your kneecap, is sliding around in my right knee. So I can't be good. So I don't know what that exactly means.
That's supposed to remain in place.
It's supposed to be in place, and it's sliding around every time I move my knee. So in for another doubleheader today. Today's going to be a fun one, though, man. We had a great time last night. We went out as a show and had dinner at a place called the Sicilian Butcher, and it's in Glendale.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. And we had the best time. We all had a glass of wine. Ben, you were very surprised that I was a wine guy. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't see you drinking very often. I mean, when you do it like 3 or 4 times a year, and usually out of my presence. And I guess I was picturing you as more of a bourbon or, I don't know, perhaps beer person. But when you ordered the red wine, I was impressed. You had a nice Pinot. Looked like you enjoyed it.
Oh, God. And that's the problem. That's why I don't drink a lot of things, because I enjoy it. And I enjoy it a lot. And it's real hard to turn the old gas. Shut the gas off.
You did the whole, swirl it around in the glass to aerate it.
I
Took
think
big
smells. The actual quote at the table was Ben going, I didn't know you were a wine guy.
Yeah, I didn't know you were a wine guy.
And
he thinks I'm a cretin.
If it's bad for you, I like it.
Yeah.
And alcohol's not good for you.
It's not good for you.
So I
like
say I thought you were a cretin. I just thought you were more of a hard liquor sort of fellow. I had a Manhattan, I had
Yeah.
bourbon, and I thought that was probably where you were going to go in, old fashioned or something along those lines.
I like it all, man.
Huh.
I really, really like it all. It's really the only thing that scares me about retirement. It's like, the kids are gone. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Like, I don't want to get into that mode of like, I'll just try this bottle of wine, and then maybe I'll have another bottle of wine. It just is once I get started, I can't stop. So I've, over the years, through a lot of trial and error and a lot of getting in trouble, I've just learned to curtail my drinking, and it's because I enjoy it. I do. I love all of it. I love everything you just mentioned. I love the bourbon, the vodka. I love the beer. I love the wine. I love it all. And so I just think, for me, shut it down after a glass. But the food we had, homemade pasta. I had a chicken carbonara that was absolutely incredible. I had a cannoli that was delicious. And again, for us, man, just being able to go out and have a dinner together is always a good time. And we always have a good time when we go out. So after all these years, the show, we're still madly in love with each other, and that feels good.
And, of course, we did share the famous Ferris wheel of meatballs.
Well, you say share. You ate 85% of it. I had a bite of two different ones.
Well, you kept going. I don't want that one. I don't want that one. I didn't want them to go to waste. I mean, they were sitting there, so I just want to make sure they all got finished.
I've never seen a guy eat so many meatballs in my life. Would you be mad if your new nickname was Meatball?
No, not really. It's not the worst.
Meatballs with our little meatball was my favorite caption.
Meatball Higgins.
Meatball Higgins, man. He did. He was sucking him down. Man, it was a great night, great day. But yeah, so we're back here bright and early this morning. I'll give you guys a couple of highlights from yesterday. Now, I'm not talking about on the field. Nobody cares how we did. But listen, we're here yesterday morning and got to see Tyler Wade walked in, and it's so wild. Like, there's no Padre that should be our guy more than T. Wade, right? Like, kind of the last guy on the bench, gets in a couple times a week, feels like a Ben and Woods guy. The only problem is he's way too handsome for our show.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, B.O.G. was a handsome fella too, but Tyler Wade feels like he should be our guy. So I went up and I introduced myself to him. And I said, T. Wade, I'm Woodsy from Ben and Woods. He goes, I know who you guys are. And I said, will you please come on with us at spring training? He goes, 100%, would love to. And then he's like, man, those Dodgers, dude, that is crazy what they're doing up there. He used more colorful language. I can't do it on the radio. But then, so it was cool, man. It was nice meeting Tyler Wade. It was really cool. Then Jackson Merrill walks in, and Jackson Merrill's here walking around. So then we go out for stretch, and on one side you have all these big, fat, out-of-shape campers, ourselves included. And we're doing our warm-up and, stretch and everything. Down to the right, T. Wade, Jackson Merrill, and a couple other guys, they're running their sprints. And you want to talk about the juxtaposition of human beings. You're looking at me going, I can't even believe we're the same gender. Like the way you run and the way that I run, I can't even believe we are both men.
Species is
species,
the word
that's what I meant.
that you're looking for.
That's what I meant.
Not gender.
Well, whatever. We're, like, he's a man, I'm a man. We don't run the same. We don't look the same. So So then later, I run into Jackson. He's sitting in the chair in the training room. And I walk up to him, and I go, hey, man, how you doing? He goes, hey, I'm good, Woodsy. How you doing? I said, I'm good. I said, how's the off season? And he looked back. He goes like this. Oh, effing terrible. It's so slow. He goes, I'm so effing bored. He just wants to get back to.
He would play 300 baseball games a year if he could.
I'm surprised he wasn't out there shagging with us.
Or out in the Dominican League or something, just playing ball
baseball
anywhere he can, whether it's in Florida, Arizona, internationally. Like, he just wants to play baseball all year long.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing to me.
I remember being in the locker room at Dodger Stadium after Game 5 and specifically talking to Jackson Merrill about, it's the offseason now. This was a long, your rookie year.
Yeah.
You've never played like this before, and he had the thought, like, I'm going to shut it down for a little bit, but you could already see the wheels kind of turning, but I don't want to shut it down for as long as they're going to make me shut it down for. I want to shut it down for like 2 days, and then let's get back up and going again. He just wants to be out there. He wants to be playing.
It's a beautiful thing, man, when you see a guy that you look at like Jackson Merrill after the year he had, and all the guy wants to do is just get back to playing baseball. I would say with 100% accuracy, Not every big league player feels like that. Okay, that's a fair statement, I think, to make. Not every big league player is like, I can't wait to get back to the grind, the drills, the 162, the travel. That dude wants it, and I love that about him. Now, hey, listen, the cynicism may set in over time, over the next decade or so, but great, man. That gives us 10 good years of him wanting to do nothing but play baseball for the San Diego Padres, and hopefully he's here forever because what a great dude. He went and took pictures with the campers. Once the campers heard that he was here, they flocked to him, man.
I talked to him. It was lunch in between the two games. I went into the trainer's room to grab something, and I was like, oh, Jackson Merrill's just hanging out in the trainer's room watching, a couple of 300-pound guys get
rubbed down,
on, and he's just sitting there chatting it up with everybody, and then it was like just word spread like crazy that Jackson Merrill was here because now that I thought about it, when we saw him in the morning when we were doing our show, everybody else was in a closed-door meeting. They had no idea he was even here. And so word spread like crazy, and all of a sudden I look around the corner. There's a line of 20-plus fantasy campers waiting for a picture, an autograph, and he signed and took a picture with every single person here. And it just, like, there were a couple of guys on my team for the second game when we got out there, rookies, never been to fantasy camp before, and they go, hey, check it out, I got a picture with Jackson Merrill. Like, this is literally the greatest week of my life.
No, it is. And having a guy that's, kind enough to do that and wanting to be here early and put in the work is great.
Yeah, and Jackson may be the biggest draw here, but the biggest name remains Trevor Hoffman. And coming up on the program today, we are going to sit down with the Hall of Famer. He's got some new compatriots that are going to be inducted into Cooperstown. They made that announcement yesterday. 3 new inductees into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Ichiro, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner all going in. We'll talk to Trevor about the new class, about just how things are going, and looking forward to that coming up later in the program. But as with yesterday and every day at Fantasy Camp, we play a little bit by ear. We'll talk to some of the coaches, the fantasy campers, the camp counselors, as it were, as we go on this morning. Should be a good show today.
Camp counselors. That's exactly what they are. Well, listen, California sports fan, I got good news. Underdog is now available to play in our state. The best place to cash in on all of your hot takes. Everyone thinks they're so smart, right? I hear it all the time. Hey, put your money where your mouth is, essentially. You got football playoffs coming up. I don't do a lot with Underdog on basketball, but I know a lot of you guys do and are good at it. Ben's pretty good at it. With over 5 million happy players and 2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. I'm really ready for baseball season because I'm gonna actually do higher than a half a hit or a 1.5 hits for Jackson Merrill almost every game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't wait for baseball to get here for many reasons, but Underdog's one of them. With their pick'em game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats, yards, touchdowns, hits, all of those things. So it's going to be really, really fun with Underdog's double flex option. You can even take 2 L's and turn them into a dub. Been having a lot of fun with Underdog. I know you guys are too. Underdog, the best place to play pick'em. Download the app. Sign up with the promo code WOODS. Deposit now to get up to 1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code WOODS. Must be 18 and over. Present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Ben Woods live from Padres Fantasy Camp in Peoria, Arizona, where it is. It's chilly, no doubt about it. We can feel it even broadcasting inside here. I did see we got the jump on the San Diego Padres, but I saw yesterday that they are sending the trucks of equipment out to Peoria on Thursday morning. They're going to leave Petco Park, pack everything up, make the drive over, and probably we'll see the trucks arriving here at some point and start unloading all the gear, so they'll have it ready when spring training begins in just a couple of weeks. The Padres pitchers and catchers reporting, I believe, February 12th is the date officially, but, guys start rolling in a little bit early, as you mentioned in our first segment. Tyler Wade, Jackson Merrill, some of the players who already here and spending some of their offseason here at the Padres camp at the Peoria Sports Complex.
Yeah, and I wonder, when the trucks roll in is kind of your first inclination that spring training is on the way. And, I was having this conversation with my wife last night, and she asked me, how's it going? And I said, babe, we're in a weird spot. We're in a weird spot, I think, as Padres fans. And I understand it, and I said, I feel, and this is just the way I feel, and you guys can tell me if I'm crazy or not. I said, I feel weird. Like, I just feel this weird vibe right now. I said, everybody's really angry. And I said, it's an odd off season because, hope usually springs eternal. And you're like, after the year we had last year, none of us, take out the lawsuit and all that stuff, right? If that didn't exist, I think we'd all still be pretty fired up, even though they hadn't made any moves, right? But you've got this thing kind of lurking over the organization. And I said, as a broadcaster and as somebody that likes to come in and do 4 hours of entertainment and fun and celebrate the game of baseball, I don't feel right about it. And I said, and that sucks. She said to me, she goes, I know what you mean. She said, I feel like I need to take some time off. And she said, but it's weird because we're in the off season. This is when you take time off. And she said, I feel the same way. I said, for example, on no planet should I have felt weird yesterday about putting Jake Peavy on the air and celebrating, being out here and playing baseball and loving baseball and talking to Ashby and getting baseball stories. I said, but I'll be honest with you. I do. People want us in here angry and railing and mad, and I understand it because there's parts of me that feel that way as well. So I'm having a hard time, discerning what's the right way to feel on a daily basis when we come in here and do this show. I don't want to turn a blind eye to the fans that are mad. I don't want to turn a blind eye to the fans that are like, I'm protesting. I don't want to turn a blind eye to anybody that is like, what are we doing? Because, again, I feel the same way. But there's the part of me that, even if I didn't do this job, would still love baseball and will always love baseball. And so I just feel weird celebrating baseball right now, and I don't know why.
You mentioned that to me yesterday, last night, and I said, yeah, I feel the same way. Like, of course I'm upset. I need some signings. I need some moves to discuss. This is brutal. It's been a pretty crappy offseason, but at least my hope is that a week like this, a little break away from all of that in fantasy camp, could maybe some of these interviews and the stories that are going to be shared all week can just kind of serve as an escape from all of that anger and all of that uncertainty with the team and everything like that. Because I had a couple of people reach out, and somebody messaged me yesterday, and they go, I hadn't really even thought about Chris Gomez in God knows how long. I forgot how much I loved him. Thank you for putting him on. He was awesome yesterday.
I got a DM yesterday about that guy right there, Andy Ashby. It said, man, the Ashby story gets me so fired up. I love it so much. I'm so ready for baseball. If we sign anybody, great. If we don't, that's fine too. I'm ready to get these games going. And, when the games start and opening day comes around, look, there's going to be, we always say it, there's going to be a faction of fans that are never happy. There's going to be a faction of fans that are always 100% positive. And I'm somewhere in the middle. And it's a weird place to be. I understand your anger. But I when I'm out here, I don't want to be angry. I want to have fun. I want to hear these great stories from these incredible legends.
So I certainly understand the angst, at least, in the Padres fan base right now. However, my philosophy, and, I'm not going to tell you how to fan however you want, but this is how I tend to do it. I'm not going to get pre-mad about something before it actually happens. There hasn't been a single game played since the end of last season when the Padres had, let's all agree, really special, great season. And there has been not one single game played. Now, you can think that, they probably should be making more moves, but just as often as the moves work out for teams, they don't work out for teams as well. You sign guys, it turns out to be big mistakes sometimes. So you don't know whether a team that is active is actually getting better and improving or maybe getting worse because they signed the wrong guys. Or a team that's not doing a lot may think, they're regressing, they're getting worse. Or you could always say, they've got some continuity, they've got guys coming back, they're not making a lot of changes, they're not tinkering with a ton of things. I know that the Padres, I think, still need to make some moves. I believe that they will in the coming weeks, that A.J. Preller is still looking around and, trying to do things that he thinks is going to make the team better. So I'm not going to get pre-mad. I will file everything away, and if the Padres have a disappointing season, a bad season, and they feel like, boy, they should have made, some more moves in the offseason that could have alleviated that, then later I can get a little angry and go, hey, what were we doing last offseason? But right now, I just feel like it doesn't make a lot of sense to get pre-mad about a season that doesn't even start for a couple of months yet.
Yeah, Eric says it sounds like cope, and I think there's some of that. I think, but again, it's and here comes the chat already. Is Ben really saying that it's okay they haven't made moves because they could fail? No, I think what he's saying is let's see how it plays out.
Yeah,
right,
the offseason isn't even over yet.
Let's see how it plays out. I think that's the general consensus. And but no, I mean, the weird thing for me is that I love this game. I love all of it. I love talking to these players. I love hearing their stories. I love pitching yesterday and having Jake Peavy give me tips in the middle of the inning, to lengthen my stride, not throw more strikes. He's not even my coach, and he was giving me tips. He is on fire for baseball still, and that's the spot I'm trying to live in, and it's not easy. I'm being honest with you guys from my heart. It's not easy. I understand the anger. I'm angry too, and I wish there was a little bit more clarity on what's going to happen moving forward. Probably not going to see that for a while. So why am I working myself into a tizzy about things that haven't happened yet, things that are out of my control? It's something I work on in my personal life all the time. I cannot control somebody else's mood. I can't control what somebody else does. I'm just speaking to you honestly. It's a weird spot to be in. But, today my headspace is one where I'm elated to talk to Trevor Hoffman. Why? Because it's Trevor Hoffman, and I'm always excited to talk to him, and that's going to happen on this program very soon. And I'm not apologizing for that. You know what I mean? I refuse.
We will start bringing in some of our special guests here coming up at the bottom of the hour, so do not go away. Live from Fantasy Camp, Padres and Ben and Woods continues here. Well, let's start by telling you a little bit about Trust and Will this morning, Woods. During our holiday break, we were approached by one of our colleagues saying, hey, we got this business. They want to advertise with your show. It's called trustandwill.com. Do you guys have a will? And we both go, no. I mean, we never really thought we needed one. And then we started learning about why you actually should put things down on paper to save your loved ones a lot of grief, a lot of hassle, and perhaps a lot of money in fees, probate court, that you can just avoid by setting up a simple document at trustandwill.com.
Yeah, make sure you get that trust, Benny, if you want to avoid probate, lengthy and costly process. Even with a will, probate is unavoidable, so only a trust can help you bypass that. So make sure today, listen, it took us 20 minutes over the break to do it. Very simple. They walk you through it. It's trustandwill.com. The code for a little discount for you is San Diego. It's all one word, San Diego. Go to trustandwill.com. Use the code San Diego. You'll get 10% off plus free shipping of all your estate plan documents. And again, trustandwill.com.
Really simple. You just answer some questions. You go through it, guides you through the process. It's much easier than even signing up for your health insurance at the end of the year. I would say it's your employer.
It actually is.
It's actually quite a bit easier. Send you the documents. And again, use the code San Diego, all one word, to get 10% off at trustandwill.com. That's trustandwill.com. Woods here is just racking up the fines in Kangaroo Court,
This is
which
insane.
takes place later today.
I haven't even done anything. 4!
Judge Andy Ashby here is just ticking off the violations one by one.
This is terrible.
Woods was getting his knee looked out by JoJo during the break. I guess that's a violation.
Apparently.
Somehow.
JoJo, one of the awesome trainers here at Fantasy Camp. I know he drops off his kids on his way in.
Yeah.
Like, the guy had just walked into the building, had his backpack on still, had not even set his backpack down in his office, and Woods was like, hey, can you work on this knee?
I just said take a look at it. I texted him last night about it.
Remember when we asked yesterday about the difference between high-maintenance players and low-maintenance players? How Chris Gomez was a low-maintenance player? This is high-maintenance, Woods.
I'm just trying to get on the field to help my team win. That's all I want to do. You guys know me. I just want to win. That's it.
Brett Boone just walked past, and we'll probably talk to Booney at some point. Obviously, he's a regular on our program. But did you know that our next guest was once traded for Brett Boone and Ryan Klesko by the San Diego Padres? Yep. Coming up in just a couple of minutes after he finishes his breakfast, we will be joined by former Padres and California Angels and Kansas City Royals first baseman Wally Joyner is going to sit down and talk with us for a couple of minutes. Looking forward to talking to Wally here. Had an amazing career. Boy, he took baseball by storm in 1986 when the Big A in Anaheim became Wally World after the Vacation movie. And he was, I think, runner-up to Jose Canseco in Rookie of the Year. He was the starting all-star first baseman for the American League in 1986 as well. Of course, went on to play for the San Diego Padres later in his career, became a hitting coach for the Padres and the Detroit Tigers in his career as well as a coach. And now he is here at Padres Fantasy Camp. He is joining us right now, picking up the microphone. It is our pleasure to welcome to Ben and Woods. The great Wally Joyner is with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Wally, it is nice to meet you in person. Good to see you. And welcome to Fantasy Camp.
I appreciate that.
How you doing?
I'm a little sore.
Yeah. I mean, imagine how we're feeling.
Third day in camp, you got to get a little sore.
Yeah. Man, you had such a great career. Thank you. I remember being a kid and playing baseball in high school. And they had me at third, and they realized, probably not the best spot for him. Let's move him over to first. And I didn't have a first baseman's mitt, so I went and bought one, and it was a Wally Joyner model. And I remember it to this day. I remember looking down in there going, oh, hell yeah, that's a Wally Joyner. I remember your rookie card with the Topps rookie card with the little trophy off to the side, had it forever. And it's just wild to see you here in person knowing, I spit into your glove 7,000 times when I was a kid,
yes,
man.
Sir.
It was great. Tell us about I'm reading this, and did somebody really throw a knife at you when you were playing? Is that a true story?
I think it was just an angry Yankee fan.
Yeah.
That he just heaved it out.
A knife?
Yeah.
An actual knife?
We had a 2-game series with the Yankees. Mike Witt threw a complete game. We got the last out in Yankee Stadium. We were on the mound congratulating him, and everybody was there. And I had just high-fived Mike Witt, and I turned around, and something hit me right in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And I thought it was Mike wanting to say something to me. So I looked back at him, and I said, what do you need? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, and then we looked down in the ground, and there was a buck knife with the blade about 5 inches sticking in the ground.
I am speechless
Yeah.
right now. That obviously should never happen. Was that a common thing for you in New York, or for you guys when you played in New York? That was a
one and done. The rest of the story was when the Yankees came to Anaheim, Dave Winfield ran out to right field, and he was pelted with rubber knives that said,
God.
welcome to Wally World. So it was pretty good.
Unbelievable, man.
Wally, we just saw Jackson Merrill of the Padres have an incredible rookie season, finished runner-up in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. I thought he should have won it. You did the same with the California Angels in 1986. Tell me about that, the phenomenon of Wally World. Were you confident going in you were going to have a good season? Because it takes guys sometimes, a couple of years to, adapt to Major League pitching and just get comfortable. Why did you feel like you had so much success so early on in your career?
No, I absolutely didn't know. I was an unknown that was playing first after Rod Carew played his career. the Angels made a decision to let him go, and went to spring training, had a good spring training, had a great I had a great veteran team to break in with, which I think helped me quite a bit. I had Bobby Grich at second base, Doug DeCince at third. Bob Boone, one of my best friends, was catching every day. A lot of people didn't care for our manager, Gene Mock. I loved him. I learned a lot from Gene about how to play the game of baseball, which I think was very helpful. George Hendrick, Reggie Jackson, they were both on the team. So I just kept my mouth shut and my eyes open, and I learned a lot that year. Don Sutton was one of our pitchers. So it was a veteran-laden team. I got off to a quick and fast start, and I had a lot of support by these guys, and I think that was very helpful.
Talking to Wally Joyner here on Ben and Woods this morning, and you're a fantasy camp coach, but after your playing career, you coach for a bunch of different teams, many different roles. More frustrating coaching big leaguers or coaching these guys, teaching them how to hit?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but you have to have a little talent.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Allegedly. Right.
Yeah. No, the big leaguers were so much fun. I absolutely enjoyed every day that I had a chance to coach. My last 3 years, I was blessed with being with Brad Osmus and with the Detroit Tigers, and my job on that team was just to make sure everybody showed up on time. We had Victor Martinez, Miguel Cabrera, Ian Kinsler, J.D. Martinez,
wow.
Nick Castellanos. So I just stayed out of their way.
You just fed the tea.
I did.
You put this here? And
I think my the best coaching I gave all of them was to do it again.
Yeah.
Right?
Do it again.
Just do it again. So, 2016 was my last year. It was 30 years in the game, and I've enjoyed my time post-career, post-coaching. But this week has been a lot of fun.
Do you watch much baseball now?
Oh, sure.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you like? When you watch guys hit, anybody that you look at and say, that guy, he's got a little Wally Joyner in him?
Well, I'm fond with, J.D. Martinez broke in. His he actually struggled a little bit with Houston Astros,
Yeah.
and then we picked him up. And my assistant coach, Darnell Coles, who does and still does a great job, he's with the Washington Nationals. They hit it off, and so I watched JD. I watched Nick Castellanos with the Phillies. I'll watch my Padres. I wish I could watch the Angels, but it's frustrating.
Tough, yeah.
It's tough to watch them. I love them, and I want them to be successful, but it just seems like they just can't figure it out yet. So hopefully this year will be different.
One step forward, a couple steps back. With the Angels, we have Angel fans that listen to us. Being in close proximity, and I think we're in kind of lockstep. We've had some playoff success and made some runs, and man, they've had some really great players. And it just hasn't seemed to click. They've obviously had a lot of tragedy in the organization as well.
Yeah, injuries, tragedy,
and it's just been one gut punch after another.
You got to give the owner credit for he's gone out and gotten the players, and it just hasn't worked out. Some of the players have had some season-long injuries that puts a big void in that lineup.
Yeah.
But when you have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani for a number of years, you would hope that you could get to the postseason.
No doubt.
So,
Talking to Wally Joyner here at Padres Fantasy Camp, and he came to San Diego a decade into your career, 1996. Joined a team playing for Bruce Bochy that was looking for a playoff appearance after a long time, and obviously the 96 season beating out the Dodgers at the end, and then 1998 going to the World Series against the Yankees. What were some of one or two of your favorite memories of that era, those years with the San Diego Padres?
Well, I got to say that the fans were incredible. The owners, John Moores, Larry Lucchino, they put a great product on the field, and the fans appreciated it. They came out and they supported us, and I think 96 was a stepping stone to 98. We got some nice pieces put together in 96. We finished off in 98. Kevin Brown and a few more guys that year that kind of solidified our team, and off we go. So the whole year of '98. We actually still have a 98 thread.
Oh, we've heard.
That is epic.
Yeah.
Nothing is off limits.
Right.
And we love each other. We get together as much as we can. But, I don't know. I mentioned this in a Padre article that one of my memories in '98 was the amazing reaction by the fans after we lost Game 4, and we're all dejected and exhausted, and all of a sudden we hear this noise out in the stadium, and nobody left. Everybody started to cheer, and I'll never forget that.
Special.
Something I remember from that season when you bring up the fans, I was a young man, Padres fan in that season, and I remember going to Game 4 of the NLCS against the Braves. You guys are already up 3-0, and it was probably an hour before the game. Braves were out taking batting practice, but the stadium was already almost full, and the fans just started chanting, "Sweep, sweep, sweep," and I looked at the Braves. The Braves players were looking around, going, "What is going on here? This is crazy." Now, they didn't win that game. Ended up taking the series in 6, but I still get chills thinking about that moment sitting in Qualcomm Stadium before Game 4 of the National League Championship Series.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I played one more year with the Padres in '99. Then I was traded to the Braves 2 years after the World Series, and that was one of the first things all the Braves who were on that team said to me was how passionate the fans were, how loud that place was. I mean, when you pack Murph, there's a lot of people, and it gets rocking, and it was so much fun to be a part of that.
Oh, I bet. It's and San Diego shows if there's a good product on the field, they will come out and they will be loud. Last year I was at one of the playoff games, and I'd never seen anything like it. And even many of the Dodgers called it the best atmosphere in baseball. And, that's what we want to get back to, and I know you want the same for your Angels as well. I wanted to shift gears just quickly and talk about hitting. It's one of my favorite things to listen to people talk about. Yeah, because I can't hit, Randy, so I want to learn as much about hitting as I can. I got Wally Joyner here, and he's got over 2,000 hits. Yeah, so I want to hear from him.
I just want you to know it's the early 80s when I met Wally.
Yeah.
And he didn't have hair then.
It's one of my weaknesses, Randy.
It's his look. He looks. He's the guy who looked most like the mascot of his own team when he came to be with the Friars.
Ball, I love it.
Randy, there's only so many perfect heads in the world, and I need to show it off, I guess.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
So over the last, there was this weird period in baseball where it was the, 3 true outcome. It was strikeout, it was walk, it was home run, and guys figured out if I can hit 40 homers, I can make a buttload of money out there doing it. Have you seen in baseball, and I know there's not as many 300 hitters as there used to be. I value them. I think anybody that can get a hit, it's the hardest thing to do in sports, and the more you can get, the better off your chances will be. With some of the rule changes, and are you seeing a little bit of a return to baseball like you guys used to play it?
Yeah, I take hitting very seriously.
Sure.
And I had a lot of fights with executives when I was the hitting coach of the teams I was with. They wanted to really go in a different direction, launch angle.
Yeah.
And they picked out different things that they felt were more important.
Sure. What was the most important thing to you as a hitting coach? Barrel? Just hit the ball hard? Barrel it?
Plate coverage.
Plate coverage, yeah.
Understanding the strike zone.
Yep.
Throughout my career, there were, a lot of hitting coaches I was with and hitting coaches on the other team and players. We all had different ideas, but one of the things that stuck with me, because I played defense also,
sure,
and I understood how escalated the inning can be when there's men on base.
Yeah.
And so on base percentage, getting on base, pitch count, all of those things are important. But as an individual, I needed to understand what my pitches were that I wanted to look for.
Sure.
You know, if I kept looking for the pitcher's best pitch, I'd walk back to the dugout.
Sure.
Because he's making a lot of money out there. Yeah. Because he's got a great pitch that gets you out, right? So I'm trying to get the second or third or fourth pitch that he has to throw to me because it's not his best pitch, and I have a better chance of getting on base and making contact and getting a hit. So the understand, I mean, it's boring, but get on base.
It's not.
Get on base.
I love it.
And let the next guy, if he gets on base, now there's two guys.
Now
Nobody out.
Now the defense is puckered. Yeah.
Right? Now the pitcher's puckering.
Yeah.
Now his best pitch of a slider is going to hang a little bit because he's going to tighten up a little bit. So all of these things play a role into winning a baseball game, and that's what we're there for.
I love it, man.
We're trying to win a baseball game. I never went up to hit hoping to walk.
Right.
But I knew that was in my back pocket. I knew that was an asset that I had, and so I was patient. I'm one of very few, I don't know how many, there's not very many that walked more than struck out in my career.
That's a huge,
that's
it's
amazing.
So impressive.
But I never went up to walk. I wanted to do damage.
Oh, my God.
Good luck imparting all that wisdom to this group here.
Yeah.
Wally, it was a pleasure. Thank you for sitting down with us for a few minutes.
You guys.
Enjoyed that conversation. We're going to quickly check traffic, come back, wrap up the hour here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. You know, Wally Joyner talking about plate coverage makes me think of Luis Ariz and one of the newest Hall of Famers, Ichiro, who could put any ball in play wherever he wanted to, and it led him all the way to the Hall of Fame. We'll talk a little bit more about the inductions. I just saw our Hall of Famer, Trevor Hoffman, walking into the building. He is coming up. What else we have coming up here, Paulie?
There's going to be a bit of a theme. I mean, first of all, how about Wally Joyner? That was
amazing.
awesome.
He's great.
Not a lot of hair, as Randy Jones pointed out. That's going to be the theme of the morning, at least up until Trevor Hoffman, who still has all of his hair. Tim Flannery is going to join us here in about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll go to a commercial break, and when we come back after Flan, we will be joined by one Mark Mudley Grant.
Ooh.
Also, not a lot of hair.
Not a lot of hair with our guest this morning.
3 Baldies and Trevor Hoffman. This is crazy.
Trevor still has time to shave his head before he joins us later if he wants to join the party. That would be sad.
So Hoffman limping around out here. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, he said his ankle's a little hurt from, I guess, just walking around.
Well, maybe I'll take him to the golf course later this week instead of time on the baseball diamond with you guys.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so that sounds like a pretty good second hour coming up with Tim Flannery and Mark Mudd Grant, who are both coaches here at Padres Fantasy Camp. Going to be with now. Flan is your coach, right, Woods?
Yes.
And you guys are, what's your record?
1-3.
And you've got Terry Kennedy and Dave Dravecki.
Yep.
And you
also
guys are
1-3. We are playing each other this afternoon.
Yep. Oh,
so somebody's
the
getting
battle
that
to stay out
win.
of the cellar is what I would call that at Fantasy Camp coming up later today. We'll take time out. We got Frank Marchese back in our studio as well. Thank you, Frank. More Bennett Woods with Tim Flannery coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97. Hour number 2, Ben Woods, live in Peoria, Arizona. 8 o'clock here, 7 o'clock back in San Diego. We're here through Friday morning, all week long at Padres Fantasy Camp. And then I believe we will be back late next month for Padres spring training.
Yes.
Officially kicks off in a couple of weeks. We're going to have Tim Flannery joining us here in just a couple of minutes. Do have some local sports activities today to keep an eye on. Of course, it's round 1 of the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. About an hour, they will start teeing off on the north and south courses, running through Saturday this week. Always a fun event.
Oh, man, always a blast.
Got college basketball tonight. San Diego State trying to bounce back from their loss to UNLV over the weekend. They will play at Airforce, the last-place team in the Mountain West. Obviously, can't afford to lose that game or really any more at this point. You don't want to fall further behind. But last night, in a bit of a stunner after they knocked off Utah State and San Diego State last week, UNLV then returns at home and loses to Wyoming last night. So the Mountain West is absolutely crazy.
It's going to be
when
nuts.
It comes to college basketball. You just have to come to play every single night, whether you're home, road, who you're taking on. But that's not something that's going to help San Diego State's metrics.
No.
UNLV taking a bad loss at home yesterday to Wyoming. So that's some of the stuff that is going on right now, though. We're going to continue here at Fantasy Camp. Always one of our favorite guests every year. It is so good to see him. We've got Tim Flannery back with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Flan, you have just about as much hair as our last guest did.
Absolutely.
Wally Joyner.
That's what we got. I think that's a theme in the coach's room.
Yes.
And that's what happened. And I think yesterday watching our guys play, I think I might have lost a little bit of hair as well. My wife last night aired me out saying it's their fantasy league. You want to back off of them a little bit? And I go, well, when they ran for the cycle, they got thrown out at every base yesterday.
True. Yeah, it's true. It was really an ugly. Flan's my coach, and we did everything we could yesterday, and I'm sure I didn't help. I think I walked the moon, in the first game, and it was. No excuses. It was couldn't find the zone.
Look, you're one of our top draft picks, so you're doing fine. We were. Anyway, I'm going to give him the old boat speech.
Okay.
You play hard to compete, and you play smart to win.
Yeah.
Because there's a mental part of it. I know it's their fantasy, but I can't take watching.
He's losing his mind. He said yesterday after the second game, he goes, "I'll tell you where I'm not going to be tomorrow, over there." And he pointed at the third base coaching box. I said, "Well, if you're not going to, who's better than you at coaching third base?" Tim Flannery.
This might have been the crew that just totally finished my career.
He told us a great story yesterday about what you would tell your guys, and it's think about base running. You got to think about base running when you're out there.
Everybody gets in car wrecks because they're not thinking about driving.
Yeah.
When you bite your tongue when you're eating, you're not thinking about eating. And when you get thrown out, usually you're thinking about other things.
Well, I would imagine it's difficult because you got a guy on second, single up the middle, and you're thinking, all right, well, a major leaguer should score easily here, but this guy runs about a third the speed of a normal person. But then you're looking at the outfield arm and going, yeah, but this is going to be like a 19-hopper home, and you're going, how do I decide whether to send the guy home or not from third base?
When I was playing, and I said playing because coaching third base is like playing. In my years in San Francisco, I was 52, 55, and I wore spikes just to get out of the way when the ball was hit at me. But I made decisions like that. I would sometimes come back to third and said, "I'm 55. I can make it. Let's go."
Yeah.
You can't do that here.
I was rounding third the other day, and Flan was sending me, and he goes, "You gotta fly. You gotta fly." And I'm like, "Fly? I don't know who you're talking to here, man." But I made it. It was a good send, and we got that run. But Tim Flannery joins us this morning. He also told a great story, and I think it's appropriate for air. It's actually unbelievable. So you managed Archie, who's our other your co-coach there, Archie Sanfranco, and you managed him in what, AAA?
AAA in 1995 in Vegas.
And the story about Archie getting called up to the big leagues is an all-timer.
Yeah, I'll tell it real quick if I can.
Yeah, you can.
We were in the Pacific Coast League, and it just happened there was like a 3-city hop that we were on, but also the great band Little Feat was on the same 3 city. And their road manager was a great friend of mine, Coach Sexton. He's famous in San Diego, famous in the music world he does the Stones now. He's done all of them. So anyway, I kept going to the shows, and then
so you manage a game, go to a show.
Manage a game, go to the show, and then I was there for 3 straight times. So they invited me to their party, the end of tour party. So I came out of there well oiled up, and it was about midnight, and I see Arky walking into the lobby of the hotel, our team hotel, and we had a little game that we would blindside each other. It was called lobby wrestling. And I blindsided him, took him down, and tackled him.
I'm sure the hotel managers love that.
Because he's past curfew.
He's past curfew.
So he's out and he shouldn't be.
And he's getting up and trying to walk, and now I'm chasing him down the hallway, and he goes into his room and slams the door. Well, I'm about 3 rooms across the hall down. The flashing red light, we had no cell phones. The flashing red light on the phone. It was Kevin Towers and Bruce Bochy said, we got to have Arky in Atlanta tomorrow. We have to get him there. We're down a player. Get him to Atlanta. So I go back, and I'm knocking on the door. Arky. He goes, go away. Go. Arky, open the door. He goes, leave me alone. Go away. I go, Arky, you're going to the big leagues. He goes, that's not funny.
Just shouting through a hotel door.
He wouldn't open it. He thought he was going to get blindsided again.
The little games you got to play to keep everybody's sanity.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Arky said it wasn't my fault. I was out with Rob Deere, and nobody can say no to Rob Deere.
Yeah, he might be here today. I called him last night. He plays harmonica occasionally with me.
Oh, man.
And because I managed him, too, in AAA, and I had one rule. If you have 220 big league home runs, you can do anything you want. So he played the harmonica with me on the streets of Granville Island down in Vancouver. I was trying a couple songs. I wanted to see if people play music for people who don't know anything about you. It'll determine what your song's like. Well, Rob played harmonica. I just said, okay, I'm playing the key of G. Here's a G harmonica. He wanted to play with me. Well, after we finished, he hands me back all his harmonicas, and they got tobacco all down in. He's got Copenhagen down in all the. Anyway, he says he's threatening to come play with us today.
Man, that is unbelievable.
Talking to Tim Flannery, we've heard so many great stories from Flan over the years, playing with, Tony Gwynn and everything. I really haven't heard much about your days managing at AAA. Las Vegas, the Stars, the Padres AAA affiliate back then. And imagine that came with its own challenges. AAA, Las Vegas, got young guys who are coming up. Sin City.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that would be a bit of a headache for a manager trying to keep track of those, 21, 22-year-olds in Las Vegas all the time.
And you also had to cover for them, like because over the year, I was very close to the guys, and Scotty Bream was a prospect, but he just got married, making minor league money. And he walked in one morning, hadn't slept all night. You could tell he was hammered still. But he won $3,000 on the crap table. And I knew that this guy's just had a baby. So I covered for him, why isn't Bream in the game? He had a little bit of the flu, and I just felt this guy's tough on him. We're going to give him a day rest. But the whole PCL, it's a tough league of travel. You meet at 3:30 in the morning at the airport, then you fly to Salt Lake City, and then you fly to Edmonton, and then you take like a dog sled north of Edmonton to go up and play. We always joked that the rule was the first day you have to be totally exhausted. But the thing that you really deal with at AAA is if these guys aren't on roster spots, they can't come to the big leagues. So a lot of times your better players have been taken off the roster spots because the front office thinks that, well, this guy's going to have a better future. He's got more talent in the long run. So, and everybody's mad. The umpires have all been to the big leagues, and now they're in AAA. Oh. The players go to the big leagues, they're in AAA. And now you throw Las Vegas in on it. God. And we had Monday nights. To this day, I call it blood donor night. And here's why. Because across the ballpark, on Monday nights, if you give blood, they give you $5. And a lot of the people that unfortunately are either homeless or have alcohol issues, they would go there on Mondays. They would give blood. They'd get $5. Well, then at Cashman Field in Vegas, Monday nights was $1 beer night.
Oh, my God.
So they would be hammered, and these guys, homeless, and it doesn't matter. Even the homeless were screaming at the manager.
Watching a ball game, drinking dollar beers, and screaming at the manager.
I called it blood donor night. That was like the promotion.
It's. I mean, I can't even imagine the litany of stories that you have.
Minor leagues are great. Minor league managing I managed in Spokane, the rookie leagues. That was my favorite because you have 26 All-Americans show up, And Jason Thompson, the stud, he did get to the big leagues. But the first week up in Spokane, man, these kids are 20 years old, And he looks over and sees my wife. We were younger then. And he goes, hey, and I hear him say, look at that blonde over there.
Oh, boy.
I go, hey, she comes with 3 kids, and your $500 a month ain't going to work, and I make the reports every night, I'd lighten up a little bit.
I mean, again, if I had any talent at all and I could go back and play for a guy like Tim Flannery, what's better than that, man? What is
Jake
better than
Peavy's
that?
in the house.
Jake Peavy's here.
Are we playing tonight?
You're damn right we are.
Oh, all right, we got a show.
They're going to bring the guitars out. They played last year.
I'll tell you what, it feels good to be in a Padre uniform again with this man right here.
I bet. The great Jake Peavy. Yeah, Flan, I mean, having you back in the fold, we've talked about it the last few years. It's a blessing for all of us.
No, I love it.
And having you out here and as our skipper and getting to know you and your family. You're just one of my favorite guys. You know that. And so happy you stopped by. And I mean, we could do 2 hours.
Well, I'm glad you said. I keep waiting for you to say, "But you're a wreck."
No. You're an inspiration, my friend. You're an inspiration, and looking forward to watching you jam tonight.
It'd be fun.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good day.
We got to win some ball games.
I got hammered. My wife yelled at me last night I got on the guys yesterday. I gave them the whole scoreboard as the guru.
I remember.
That scoreboard will
there.
teach you how to run the bases. It'll teach you how to do everything. She goes, "Will you lighten up on them? Let them. It's a fantasy for them." And it's true. I felt bad, so I got up this morning and took my meds. She overnighted them, and I realized I do need them.
Don't lighten up on them. That's what they're here for. That's what they're here for.
We want to get chewed out, man. We want to get
Tim
chewed
Flannery,
Thank
you so much for
you.
joining us.
Thanks,
Always
pals.
appreciate talking with you. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll check traffic, and then we'll come back, and we will talk to Mark Mudcat Grant. Is that next segment? All right, Mudcat's sitting around somewhere in the building, probably having some breakfast right now, and we'll talk about how his off-season is going. We all miss him and Don so much over the last few months. They're part of our lives like every night, and then they're just gone for a few months, and it's like, wait, what happened to this guy that I spend so much time with? So that is coming up. First, though, you want me to talk about some Prize Picks. I have been playing Prize Picks now for about 8 or 9 months. Really enjoying my daily fantasy experience with Prize Picks. Chance to win real money every single night. You can put together lineups between 2 and 6 players, and all you're doing is projecting stats, picking more or less, and especially during the football playoff season. In fact, coming up this Sunday for the Championship Sunday, look for the special square with Jaden Daniels. Just 1/2 of a passing yard, more or less. That's an easy one. Combine that with 1 other player, 5 other players, whatever it is. It makes it way easy to win. In fact, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash by running your game all season long with Prize Picks. And when you sign up and download the app, make sure you use our code KWFN. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup by using the code KWFN. Signing up for Prize Picks. And when it's not football, obviously there's basketball, there's hockey, whatever sports you're following, college hoops, it's all there with Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game, must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Back here from Padres Fantasy Camp, 97.3 The Fan, live in Peoria, Arizona. Normally this would be our Don't Do This segment. We'll push that back again today like we did yesterday because this is a good time in the morning before the morning meeting, before all the players head out to the fields to talk to some of the coaches. We've already had Tim Flannery and Wally Joyner joining us and continuing with the theme of hairless baseball players. We've got Mark Mudcat Grant with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Mud, it is good to see you.
Hairless and not talented.
No, you're very talented. With a microphone, you're very, very talented.
You clarify with a microphone.
Wally Joyner and Tim Flannery, very
those guys
talented.
the best.
They are the best, yeah.
I'll tell you what, the yucks we have in that coach's room are just, and we've heard the stories before.
Yeah.
But they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
And to hear, because there was a time, obviously, when I did not play with Flan and Tempe and TK and those guys, and to hear those stories, it's just, it brings a smile to my face, and it's like the best prescription is a good old-fashioned horse laugh.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, and just let her rip and just have some fun doing it.
I want to ask you about Bob Uecker, who passed away last week. We were on the air when it happened.
Yes.
And, I mean, it was jarring. I mean, he's 91 years old. You knew it was coming at some
inevitable,
point. Yeah.
Right?
And a life and career well lived.
Oh,
it's just the stories.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about you. I think he'd been to Petco since I'd had a credential, but I never had the guts to walk up and introduce myself. I just wanted to let him be.
Sure.
I didn't want him to ruin it for me, the legend. But how much time did you get to spend with Uke in your life?
Brief, but when we crossed paths, it was gold.
Yeah.
He was just always on.
Always.
With a comeback, with a line, with very gracious with his time. And we were lucky not to have him only in the game of baseball, but in the world.
Yeah.
Because, his acting career, his Johnny Carson appearances. And if you want to have some laughs, you guys have probably watched those.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What do you appear on the Carson Show? Like
100
over
times?
150
Yeah,
times?
it's crazy. Yeah.
I feel bad when we book a guest, twice or three times a year. I don't want to burn the audience out, but I guess if a guest is that good, you keep having him on because he was on every single time.
And one of the things I admired about Bob Uecker was that his wardrobe. Remember his wardrobe?
Sharp. Yeah, sharp.
Like the plaid pants with the loud, the white shoes, the belt, the jacket.
Sounds like somebody I know.
Oh.
Yeah, sounds just like somebody I know, to be honest with you.
You have to accessorize, Woodsy.
That's exactly
But no,
right.
he's a tremendous loss, but what a treasure, what a gem that we had. We were lucky enough to have in the game of baseball.
Let me ask about that, how important it is in a clubhouse. There's a lot of serious guys, but there also has to be someone who can cut the tension. You're a guy who can cut the tension a little bit. Bob Uecker obviously was a guy who can cut the tension. How did other guys react to that? I'm sure there was some maybe mixed reactions to the antics.
Yes, and I think you learn through time when to pick your spots. Because I remember when I was growing up, I was always the class clown.
Sure.
Loved baseball, loved playing sports. When I was out there, I was a competitor. I wanted to win just as much as the next guy. And that's when you start getting into the area of, this guy's got this type of personality. He's not really performing up to his ability, which who really knows what your ability? That's hindering him from being whatever.
Got it.
And as I got older and got more into the game and, learn how to pick your spots because you're out there to win a game and try to pitch and do the best you can. But I do have one story when I was with the Mariners back in 1992 where everybody was deathly afraid of Randy Johnson.
Oh, sure.
Right? Yeah. So I come to the Mariners in spring training and, hey, how you doing? Kind of little flybys. Hey, Randy, how you doing? Not too aggressive, but just whatever. So as time went on, I noticed that guys are kind of, hey, how come guys are scared of the unit? What's going on? He goes, Randy's kind of whatever, stays to himself.
Standoffish.
That's going to change.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to get to him.
So I would give him little barbs every now and then, just really light-hearted stuff. So one day I really stepped over the line. He pitched a game. He just got it handed to him. Right. So the next day I'm hovering around his locker a little bit. And I go, hey, unit, you were really good yesterday. And just turn my back and walk away. And he goes like, what the hell did he just say?
Oh, my God.
And guys are like, what are you doing? I go, it's cool. Don't worry about it, right? So anyway, I would kind of tease him like that. Well, when I know I got him and I knew that he was going to be a good guy to be around, I gave it up one game. So the next day he comes by my locker, just really uncoordinated kind of, because he doesn't really have that, zinger line kind of. hey, Mud, you were really good yesterday.
He's like Ben.
And I was like, yes, the unit has cracked.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, like, when we text one another, he'll say, hey, I'm going to be at the game in Arizona or whatever. He goes, oh, by the way, you're really good.
Oh, my God. He's still doing the bit.
Oh, yeah. And now
later.
when I see him, like at Chase last summer,
Yeah.
he walked into the booth, and I'm going to clean it up a little bit, but I look at him right in the eye and I go, what in the heck did you ever do in this game of baseball?
How'd you get this gig?
Right. So anyway,
I love it.
yeah, you got to pick your spots, but you do need guys like that. Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of that. Yeah.
Talking to Mud Grant here on Ben and Woods this morning, and how's Donnie? How's Donnie doing?
Donnie's great. We keep in touch. He's doing his fishing thing. He's doing his cooking thing.
Yeah, I saw he's doing his workout thing now.
Oh, yeah.
He said it's time to get in shape.
Yeah, he's going to lose the boiler, he said.
Every offseason.
Yeah.
It's the boiler losing.
Yeah, he kind of keeps me in tune. And
are you guys competitive with each other about who?
Is there a way off when you show up to spring training?
Not really. I mean, we kind of get on each other a little bit. Yeah. Help yourself to some more of that, will you? Right?
Do you think we're not a little competitive about it too?
Oh, I'm sure you are. Yeah.
He's kicking my ass
But it's great.
So you've had the pleasure of eating at Don Tangelo's many times.
Only once.
Yeah, just once.
Yeah, yeah. And it was hard to get in.
It's very
Every time I called, they were booked. They were booked.
Booked solid. It's just
I would
amazing.
say, hey, table for one for Grant. I go, let me see, Grant. Table for one. Ooh, we just filled up. I'm sorry. So sorry. Maybe next time.
He's a legend. We got to get him back out here again. It was so fun when he came out that one time.
it was fun to have him out here. How are you guys feeling?
Sore.
Yeah?
Very sore.
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
That's great.
Higgy?
Yeah, that's because I'm smart. I don't go out there with everybody.
Paulie, babe? Good?
Yeah, he's sore too. Paulie's sore. He's got shin splints.
Oh,
yeah.
He's
working
hey,
through
did
those.
you guys see the torn Achilles yesterday?
So we do have a torn. We have a torn Achilles.
Yeah.
I've seen a finger like almost with the tip cut off.
Ooh. Awesome.
Langer tried to catch a ball
Barehanded?
from the machine barehanded.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So when you have the glove on this hand, he went to do the double catch.
That's the way to do it.
Just nicked it.
That reminds me, though, we had our NFL picks for the playoffs last week, and the loser, the punishment, has to wear one from the pitching machine today, and that is that's him.
So where, like on the side or
wherever
something?
I want. But what do you? Best guess, just ass, just turn.
Yeah,
turn
just turn that big old.
butt.
I was terrified it was going to be me. I haven't taken a pitch in about
now
40 years.
Certain mile an hour.
Just whatever we're playing in the game.
Okay. It's still going to sting.
It's going to sting. It hurts. It never feels good to get hit by a
Heck yeah,
pitch.
it is.
So I got to do that later today. Paul, he's going to have to. We're
We'll
playing
film
each
it,
other.
yeah.
So, yeah,
okay.
we'll film that. We'll throw it up later.
All right.
I'm not looking forward to it, Mudley.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it.
You guys looking forward to this year?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I want to. I want to. Everyone's so mad right now. Everyone, we want some free agents and we want some signings. We got to get this guy. We got to fill this position. And we were talking about it earlier on the show. I mean, we got some holes to fill, but every time
that's
spring
what makes
training,
the game so great, right?
Every time
you never
spring
know.
training comes, I'm ready.
There are no guarantees. And it's like, everybody, all the Dodger fans out there and all the Padre fans that I know, they're saying, hey, what are the Dodgers? I said, let them win 150 games.
Right.
We'll just beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, that's the dream. That's the dream. I mean, we were talking about that with pretty much every coach that's come by. And, yeah, I mean, you got to play those games. Managing that team in the regular season is going to be a weirdly different challenge, I think, for Doc Roberts. It's strange. I mean,
it is.
You feel like they roll out of bed and win 110.
Yeah,
it's so many games, though.
It's so cliche, but it's so true, is that there are no guarantees.
Right.
Just because your team's on paper and the way it looks.
Oh, we know that here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know that here. 23 really smacked us all in the mouth. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's always the best time of year because we get you and we get Donnie in our TVs every night.
Appreciate that.
We get Tony and Jesse. It's just a part of our family.
I do want to ask you, though, because last season everyone was adapting to a new manager in Mike Schultz. Having him back, like, everything in place, second season.
Yep.
He said to us at spring training, it's going to take a little while for me to, start doing, getting everybody on the same page. Right. How much of an advantage is that, having so many of the same guys back with the same manager? Something we haven't seen a lot in, with the Padres, with all the changes that AJ usually makes. A little bit different this year.
I think AJ and Mike have done a great job with the players, and last year was a testament of, there's one moment that really solidified for me. You know where I'm going
Washington.
with this?
The Nationals game?
It was at Petco.
Profar, Manny. Was that the moment? Because that's what it was for me.
Well, for me, it was as far as a manager showing confidence in his players.
Well, yeah.
Is when the catcher's interference call I think it was Jake,
Yeah,
and he
yes.
flew out. Catcher's interference. Now you can elect to either take the run or take the penalty or
Take the
whatever.
penalty.
So he put the runner back to third with Manny coming up with bases loaded.
Yep.
First pitch double to the gap.
Amazing.
And it was like, that's a manager showing confidence in the situation. And it was the perfect storm. Manny coming up. So rather than taking the run, send the runner back.
Yep.
And then having Manny hit with the there was a lot of moments, obviously.
That moment, I thought you were going with the moment that kind of realized, okay, this team's different. They're sticking up for each other.
Yeah.
Was the Manny and Profar, and Manny grabs Keibert Ruiz.
Right,
and
right.
I was
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
This was it spoke to me. And listen, I think you're gonna need more of those moments next year.
Yeah.
And it's a tough task. I mean, they added Kirby Yates yesterday.
How about that?
It's just crazy. It's like there's somebody out there that they can get. They're getting them. So
I hear that Steve Garvey's going to spring training with the Dodgers.
going to compete at first for a spot. Oh man, but
He's trying to push Freddie Freeman out.
if anybody can do it, I'm sure it would be Garv. But Mud Grant joins us.
Mud, it is great to see you as always.
Good to
You'll
see
be
you
back
guys
here in
always.
about a month, I'd imagine, for some TV
I
broadcasts.
will be here a
spring
little bit
training.
in February, middle of the month, and then towards the end of March.
Awesome.
Cap.
So stay tuned.
Thank you,
Outstanding.
buddy.
Appreciate all the San Diego fans out there. Love you,
Appreciate
and
love you,
you
buddy.
guys are awesome.
Always
Paulie,
good
babe.
to see you. Mark
Right.
Grant, Padres broadcaster, and always one of our absolute favorites joining us here. Got the meeting coming up. You guys are sticking around a little bit longer today, which is good. The game doesn't start until later, so we got more talk. I want to get into the Hall of Fame, the voting, the tallies that were released yesterday, and more on that. And, of course, we got Trevor Hoffman coming up in just a little bit, I think during the meeting here. So don't go anywhere first. Let me tell you about SDFatLoss.com. I know you've heard my story, 40 pounds in 60 days. If you combine, though, the weight I lost, the weight that Scraby lost, the weight that Chris Ella lost, 117 pounds between us. It's because the program works. It worked for all of us. It's worked for Tier 1s who have signed up. I have talked to many of them. It's a pound of fat per day. It's 10 to 20% of your body weight in just 60 days. And all you have to do is go to their website, sdfatloss.com, and sign up for a free consultation. When you do so now, before January 31st, you're going to get $200 off the program. It's all about using real foods, things you normally eat, steak, chicken, vegetables, and eating them at the right times, the right portions, and watching the weight come off. You're going to reset your metabolism. Your energy goes up. I'm sleeping better. My pain levels have gone way down in my knees and my back. Losing the weight does so much benefit for your life. I just can't tell you how glad I was that I went through the program. You can as well. Clients on average lowering their metabolic age by 17 years with SDFatLoss.com. So get your free consultation. Set it up today. Take advantage of the $200 off program at SDFatLoss.com. That's SDFatLoss.com. tweet, X, CC Sabathia said, woke up and realized yesterday wasn't a dream, Woods. We've been having so many guests here at Padres Fantasy Camp. Haven't really had a chance to talk about the new Hall of Famers yet, but CC Sabathia, one of them, first ballot Hall of Famer for the pitcher. Obviously, Ichiro, who got in with nearly a unanimous vote, just one vote shy of becoming the second player ever to be unanimously selected. And then maybe the most dramatic selection, Billy Wagner, in his 10th and final year on the ballot, finally got the votes necessary, the 3/4 of the vote necessary, and was the third member elected into the Hall of Fame yesterday.
The video of Billy Wagner absolutely sent me yesterday. He was sitting there with his wife and gets a phone call, can't say anything, just breaks down crying. And I saw a couple of tweets yesterday from guys saying, "Yeah, if you ever faced Billy Wagner, you knew immediately this guy was on the Hall of Fame track." Absolutely insane. It took him that long to get in. What an excruciating process, Ben, for a decade to wait for your call, and he got it yesterday. And it just never gets old, man. CC was on fire yesterday, tweeting about every 15 minutes. You could tell he was pretty fired up. I know that Tony Jr. will probably have a lot to say about that. He knows CC really, really well, so it'd be cool to get some insight from him. But yeah, man, those are three of the best to ever do it, man. I had no problem with any of those guys.
I agree. I think back, and they are touchstone players.
Oh yeah,
of the eras in which they played. CC Sabathia always felt to me like one of the most dominant starters. Yep. At any time, in part of his career. Billy Wagner, of course, was synonymous with great left-handed relief pitchers in all of baseball history. And then Ichiro was the no-brainer. Everyone is making the who was it? I don't think we found out.
No, I don't think so.
The one person who didn't vote for Ichiro. And I've seen the speculation going. Well, I've seen people going, well, they're doing it for the attention. Well, if you want the attention, you're going to have to admit it was you, and no one has done so yet. And I don't know if that will or will not come out at some point. Was it on purpose? Was it an accident? Did they check the wrong box or something? It just seems silly that anyone would look at Ichiro's body of work and go, nah, I might vote for him next year, but I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Come on.
It's just a really complete player, Ichiro Suzuki. A complete player. He had the arm, he had the speed, could hit for power. If he wanted to, he could hit for power. He was a true five-tool player, and I've been lucky enough to know the family that represented him kind of after his career. And I've heard so many stories about Ichiro. The man is as baseball obsessed as any human being that has ever walked the face of the earth and just wants to be around the game. I just saw a tweet it was basically right across the street, right here where the Mariners complex is. He'll show up at spring training unannounced, and he'll just get into the outfield and start shagging flies and going and hitting. And somebody asked one of the guys there, and they said, no, he just comes and goes when he pleases. He loves it.
I remember when he first arrived here in Peoria, Arizona, early 2000s at Mariners camp. And he was really the first position player to make the jump from Japan. There had been pitchers like Hideo Nomo, but he was the first position player. And I remember there was a lot of skepticism.
Sure.
It's one thing for a pitcher to come over. I don't think a position player from Japan is going to succeed. And spring training started. And I'll tell you what. He looked horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
just like Shohei did.
He looked horrible. And everyone was going, oh, the Mariners made a huge mistake here. This is not going to work out. I mean, he was batting something in spring training. And then the regular season started, and it was like, oh, this guy can do everything. This guy can do everything. Went on, won the MVP, and, a legend was born, the legend of Ichiro Suzuki.
Cannon for an arm. I mean, just a cannon for an arm.
He had to throw. Look, I grew up. I was 10 years old, 11 years old when he came over to Seattle back in 2001. And that first year, you had just lost Alex Rodriguez the previous year to Texas. Ken Griffey Jr. had been traded 2 years before that. So you're like, all right, here comes the new wave, I guess. We'll see what happens. And it took about 2 weeks. There was a game in Oakland. He threw out Terrence Long, going first to third on a base hit to right field. He threw an absolute strike to third base. He did not have to move his glove, and everyone goes, oh my
boy.
God.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He was unbelievable.
But
to watch.
also kind of marched to the beat of his own drummer as well. Famous for just the detail and everything that went along with it. And he was such a baseball guy. And I saw a story yesterday that A-Rod actually confirmed that Ichiro got a text a few years ago, 2017, and it was a number he didn't know, and it was someone who said, hey, I would love to come and study your stretching regimen. It's a legendary routine that he goes through to get his body in shape.
He had a machine he would bring with him on the road.
Like with him. It had to come with him. Like they had to build I think an extra room just to house it for the Mariners just to be part of his career. In fact, he couldn't go to certain teams because they couldn't accommodate his stretching team.
Yeah, they wanted him. And he goes, I can't, there's no room for my thing.
And the text said, by the way, this is Tom Brady. And Ichiro's response was, who the bleep is Tom Brady?
Yeah, to his buddies. He's like, Tom Brady. Oh, man. He's one in a billion, for sure. 1 in a billion. So he'll be a Hall of Famer. We'll be talking to a Hall of Famer, Trevor Hoffman, here very shortly. I did see one this morning from the great Mike Sweeney. I've got a great story about Mike Sweeney, but I'll read this one for you. And I put it in my bookmarks, and here it is. He leads off the game with a line drive to left center field for a base hit. And he gets over to first base. All I could think about was when I played in Japan against the Japanese All-Stars, anytime an American would get a base hit up on the Jumbotron would be this huge graphic that would say pow or boom, and it would say nice hitting. Or no, nice batting. So over the loudspeaker, you'd hear the PA say, nice batting, and you'd see these big graphics up on the Jumbotron. Being a kid from Southern California, doesn't speak any Japanese, I don't know what to say to Ichiro. I don't even know if he knows English. Just gotten here in spring training. I look over at him. I pat him on the back. I say, Ichiro, nice batting. And I don't know what kind of response I'm going to get. He looks at me, never met him before, and he goes, Mike Sweeney, nice ass. I just started dying laughing. I'm like, oh, my gosh, his English was perfect, no accent. I'm going, oh, my gosh, this guy, he's going to be great. Yeah, phenomenal class into the Hall of Fame yesterday. And speaking
of Hall of Famers,
phenomenal Hall of Famers.
Give it 1 second. Give it 1 second. We're going to check traffic, and when we come back, we'll be joined by our Hall of Famer of our own here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855, get right.
I believe our next guest had to wait, was it 3 years before he got the call from the Hall of Fame? Was that correct, Trevor Hoffman? It was the third year of eligibility. So you know what it's like. I mean, Billy Wagner, obviously, waiting until the 10th and last time on the ballot yesterday. You probably saw the emotion. We were talking about it from him. What were your thoughts yesterday when Billy Wagner got the news?
I was extremely proud of him, the way he's handled the last decade. To have this build up in January every year and to have the letdown, to not hear the call or the phone call come in, was ecstatic for him. We had two guys in our class, Jack Morris and Alan Trammell, who came off the ballot after 15 years, and you start to resign yourself to the fact that maybe it's not meant to be, maybe it's not going to happen. And both of these guys were pros. Their numbers didn't get any more hits, they didn't get any more RBIs, but I think with common sense, which we're starting to see around the country, prevailed a little bit with these guys getting in my year. And so I'm happy that Billy didn't have to wait for a modern-day era committee to come in and maybe clean up what should have been done during the time he was on the ballot.
Yeah, I mean, and those first 2 years that you didn't get in, what was that like for you?
You had no idea what to expect. So year one, I was actually on a golf course out at Verona having a good time with a bunch of ex-baseball players going, if I get a call, they're going to have to find me.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to be a first-time ballot guy, so I didn't have much concern, but I came out with a decent number in the 50s. And so I knew I needed to be around a little bit for the second year, at least be at home. And we came 4 votes shy. And so Mom wasn't getting any younger. And we said, you know what, even if we don't get a chance to go in the third year, we can have a celebration, appreciate all the things moms do, have a lot of family and friends. Eric Meyer did a great job with the Padres coming in and documenting it. And fortunately, we kind of sailed past the 75 with probably 4 extra boats.
And you get that phone call, and you know it's coming. And I watch Tony Gwynn's all the time. I mean, it's just one of my favorite videos that makes the rounds every year, and you see the emotion. And I've seen yours as well. For you, when that phone rings, it's like, all right, this is going down.
So the funny part of the phone ringing is there's a little bit of a, just elephant in the room, tense, kind of waiting. We're in the window, and my phone rings, and I look down, and I see Glenn Hoffman. And so that's what Big Brother will do.
On purpose.
What? And I'm like, the room goes quiet.
You're sick.
I go, Glenn.
He's a sick man.
It's Glenn. And it kind of brought a little levity to the room. It's typical Big Hoff. I mean, he just knows when.
Got to keep this line open. If they call and it's busy, then I don't get into the Hall of Fame. They only call once. That's it. They don't call back.
So the next call was Jack O'Connell, and he welcomed me into the hall, and it was a great moment. It really is something you dream about, and it's something from an individual standpoint. It's unbelievable.
Talking to Trevor Hoffman, our first guest with hair this morning on 97.3 The Fan. We had Flan, we had Wally, and we had Mud. So, congratulations!
You had stars in front of me. That's fantastic.
We were just talking about Ichiro. You were here when he made his debut and was here in Peoria, coming over from Japan, and there was a lot of skepticism. Like, is the first position players really come over? Is this going to be a thing? What do you remember from that first season when Ichiro didn't look good in spring training, and then all of a sudden, like he was pulling the wool over our eyes, and the season started. He was the best player in the American League.
No doubt, just the same stuff. I'm like, is this going to translate? Like, how's this going to work? And the language barrier. But I remember watching him in camp, and you saw glimpses of what his talent was going to look like. Now, from a swing standpoint, nobody swang like that. So you're like, okay, how do you teach that? How does a hitting coach approach that? And so he's written himself into the record books. But I remember meeting him for the first time, and it wasn't quite as clear as hey, Mike, sweetie, nice to meet you. But he shook my hand and said, nice to meet you as well, at a Padre Mariner golf event out at Quintero. And from that moment on, I go, this guy, he's Fernando all over again, where it has the interpreter. And I'm sure it makes him feel comfortable, have that blanket where nothing's going to get lost in translation. But really an amazing guy.
Well, the media would never take anything out of context or spin anything out of translation. It would never happen. So speaking of that, let's talk about the 2025 San Diego Padres. And as we stand today, there's some work to do, right, to fill out the roster. But the core is coming back. Jackson Merrill, he's here. He's getting his work in. And I think our audience, I told the story yesterday. I asked him, how's the offseason? He said, it's effing boring, man. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm ready to get back. He's a dog. He wants to be out there. And he's what guys in the game call he's a dude, right? Yeah. He's just a dude. And you see a lot of these other guys walking around too. And when you talk about this team as it stands, where do you kind of see how we start the season as far as getting some of these holes filled and getting going?
Yeah, I think there's still plenty of time, honestly, left before we have camp open up. But, one of our assets over the last few years has been our minor league system that we've gone out and traded for pieces that we might have needed to fill holes. And so we might be in a position where we rely on our minor league system at this point in time to replenish some areas. But you're right when you said the roster is strong. Yeah. Like, it's not – the cupboards aren't empty. We have leadership in Manny, Taddy, Joe, you. Like, I'd love to start feeling bad about ourselves with those guys being our headliners. And so Jackson's just, like you mentioned, a dude. He's a baseball rat. He just wants to get going again. He had so much fun last year, and a breakout for the all of America to see. I'm looking forward to seeing the sophomore year.
Yeah, pitching wise though, Trevor obviously didn't get Roki. Joe's going to be out for the year. So someone's going to have to step up. Whether they add someone in the next few weeks, there's going to be someone internally that's going to step up. What do you see from some of the younger guys? Waldron, Vasquez, Adrian Mora-Honesman talked about it as a potential starter. How do you see those guys potentially working in the mix here in 2025?
I love the idea that Matty Waldron did such an amazing job at the beginning of the year last year and was able to handle some of the ups and downs as he got tired. And that's only going to benefit him moving into his next season. He's going to get relied on heavily Vasquez, another example of you need to play in the big leagues. You need to figure out what that highest level looks like, and you might get knocked down, but you learn from it. You don't live in the past, you learn from the past. And so those guys are going to be instrumental. As I mentioned, Joe, not pitching, but he's going to have a huge impact on how guys go about their business. I mean, they can still rely on a veteran on what it means to be a big leaguer and how to go about your business. So I think we're okay.
I've heard Camp 44 is still happening.
Oh, yes.
It is. It is. Yes.
Still going to have everybody getting ready for the season coming up here soon.
Looking forward to that. I think anytime you can get guys together 2-3 weeks in front of when they're going to get here, you hit the ground running. You know, it's not like you're trying to sift through some of the awkward moments that do happen in camp for the first week. It's like we know where to be for bullpens. We know what Ruben's going to be talking about. We know if we got Fritzy back there, what that means as a bullpen guy. Those things kind of get ironed out.
100%.
Trevor, it is a pleasure. I know you will be back in Cooperstown in July for the ceremony. Everyone always goes back to see the new class being inducted, and I'm sure that'll be another fun experience.
It'll be great. I'm looking forward to that class. 5 guys going in, so hopefully the AC's blazing up there on the stage.
So hot.
We'll have a good time seeing those guys in.
Always a pleasure to
Thanks,
talk
guys.
to you, sir.
Thanks, Hoffman.
Cheers.
Trevor Hoffman, Hall of Famer for the San Diego Padres, number 51. Always a pleasure when we get to chat with Trevor and talk a little baseball and what's going on. Great stories from Ichiro's first days and talking about Billy Wagner. And
he always makes me feel
emotion.
better.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does.
How's your ankle, by the way? You okay? Oh, man, he's bumming right now. He's on a bum ankle. God, he's in shape with a bum ankle. Imagine how we feel.
Yeah,
Does that make you feel better?
He looks like
somebody
as
in shape as him is still getting banged up out here.
Of course it does. Of course it makes me feel better.
How old is he now? He still looks like he's in his 30s.
God, he still looks like he can throw. It's crazy.
Does.
A lot of these guys do, actually.
I had people reaching out yesterday when we had Jake Peavy on there. Like, he literally looks like he could suit up and throw still tomorrow.
He looks like an athlete. They're athletes, man. And you get a whole new appreciation every time you come out here for what these guys go through in 162 games.
I'll say last year at Fantasy Camp was the first year that Jake Peavy had come out.
Yep.
And we did our shows Monday through Friday. Friday is always they call it the championship day. Even the last place game, you get to go play in the big stadium across the street over at Peoria Sports Complex. Yep. You got your name. They got the billboard, the big jumbo screen going. It's awesome. And before the game, Jake Peavy, we were playing against his team.
Throwing a bullpen.
And he started throwing a bullpen with fantasy campers standing in the box.
Yeah.
And you're just standing there with a bat. You're not swinging or anything. And he was throwing darts.
Yeah, missiles.
No warm-up.
Yep.
No warm-up. It was awesome.
They're unbelievable.
So we just talked to Trevor Hoffman. Should have won a Cy Young Award as a relief pitcher. I believe we may be talking to a Padre who did win a Cy Young Award as a relief pitcher coming up in the second half of the program. I believe we will play Take on Woods as well. It's all coming up in our 8 o'clock hour. Don't go away. Bennett Woods live from Fantasy Camp continuing here on 97.3 The
are halfway home. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you guys, live from Padres Fantasy Camp. And I guess the meeting's wrapping up in there. One of the minor league coordinators just threw down a giant bunting competition. And campers can get in there. And if you win $20. If you lose, you have to pay everybody else $20 each. And it's up against, some of these prospects. And listen, man, if there's one thing I know how to do, it's bunt. So I may get in there. I can't hit a lick, but I certainly can bunt. So I think it'd be a fun little challenge to do. It's a new thing. They've never done that before.
So is it like a target, like you're trying to bunt to certain quadrants on the field?
I have no earthly idea. I don't know how firm it is.
Yeah, exactly. So
I have no idea.
There's a lot of hubbub right now here at the Peoria Sports Complex.
We got
fantasy
about
campers.
90 fantasy campers, all of the training staff, and now there's a good 30-plus prospects here because, it's prospect camp is happening this week. They're actually getting work in. Ethan Salas just walked by. I saw Leo DeVries walking around. They're all here getting their work in. And so, there's about 130-plus people all in a very small hallway.
Yeah, imagine trying to get your work in and all these loads are walking around. I mean, it's got to be excruciating for these guys.
I do want to point out, during the break, Woodsy received an honor from Arkeson Frocco came by.
And
so did Paulie gets one as well. Look at you two. We got stars of the game. They got their lineups from yesterday. Star of the game, Terry Kennedy, saying the defense helped save the team.
Thanks, TK.
And both of you, do you have like incentive clauses in your contracts? You get a couple extra stars. You can bump up the level of salary for next season or something?
No, just mine came in a loss. So this is
So did Paulie's.
Yeah, it's just it's nice for individual accolades, but I'd rather have team.
You're more
success.
of a team guy.
More of a team guy. Team success.
Yeah, I would have traded that card for the win. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was nice. It's nice to be recognized, though.
Good eye wash, both of you.
Big time.
Well done. Team first. Head of the individual awards and accolades.
Always.
It's always smart.
But I will say this: it's a very special memento. Thank you to my coaches and everybody that made this possible.
I want to remind everybody the biggest fan contest is returning starting next Monday, January 27th. You can win a grand prize night in the Odyssey Suite with 20 tickets for you and your friends at a future Padres game. And all you have to do is register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggestfan. Put your name in, and then starting next week, we will announce names 3 times a day, 9 a.m. during our show, 1 o'clock during the Annie and Elston program, and 5:30 with Gwen and Chris. You hear your name, you'll have a chance to call back. You do that, you're in the final grand prize drawing for the night at the Odyssey Suite at Petco Park for a Padres game coming up later this season.
Yes, sir.
Just make sure you get your name in. Do that before it's too late.
Mark Grant, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, there's everybody. What's the schedule?
Third breakfast.
What's the schedule, Paulie? We got pictures and all that?
Yeah, they're getting ready to take a team photo and all the individual photos here, which takes a little bit of time. I don't really know of the schedule. I need to check in with Tom or Bill here because the field was completely frosted over this morning.
Really?
That's what I was told, and I said, it was 32 degrees when I woke up this morning. Just a couple of miles away, so that'll happen. You will have a frosty field, so they're waiting for everything to kind of get back to normal here before we can get started.
That can happen on the golf course as well. You get on in the frost, you damage the turf, and it doesn't recover. So we've seen that at Torrey Pines for the Farmers Insurance Open, which is just getting underway right now at the Torrey South and North courses. When it's too cold, you got to have a little frost delay in the mornings. Puts everything behind schedule. But I'm glad I've got you guys for a little while longer this hour. We can actually talk about some of the things we didn't get to yesterday. Sammy and I talked a little bit about the NFL weekend that was, but the matchups this weekend, the 2 conference championship games. One thing that I think Sammy and I both agreed on, I think the Bills-Chiefs game, the AFC Championship, one of the hardest to handicap that I can ever remember. I can make a very compelling case for both sides in that game. I have no idea at this point which way I'm even leaning. Every time I start thinking about, it's got to be the Chiefs. It's Patrick Mahomes. They're at home. He's going to make a big play. They're going to pull out another close win. I go back to then, but it's Buffalo. I think they're the better team. Josh Allen is having such an amazing season. They can't be denied every single year. They won in the regular season against the Chiefs. Why wouldn't they win this game? Again, I just keep going back and forth in this game.
I don't know if you guys talked about the X Factor yesterday. And about 6-8 weeks ago, I think I came on the air and said, look, I watched some of the Chiefs games. I'm seeing the reaction on social media from the calls that they're getting. And, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple of egregious ones. You could look at both sides and see this. But did you guys talk about the I guess the absolute travesty on some of the calls that happened last weekend? And listen, it's one thing to hear it from Joe Public fan. It's another thing to hear it from opposing players, right? You heard all of the Texans saying, we knew we were coming in here, and it was us against the Chiefs and the Zebras. We all knew that, right? It's one thing to hear them. National writers, Troy Aikman on the broadcast going, come on! You know what I'm saying? Like, it has gotten to a really weird place. And I don't know that it's intentional, but I don't know that it's...
I doubt it's intentional. I don't know why you'd like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs any more than any other team. I do think Patrick Mahomes has become very good at selling and drawing those flags from officials. Now, that may be the X factor, but that's another thing, and we talked about it briefly. Is it going to bounce back the other way? Will officials be so conscious of the fact that they're taking so much criticism that they're going to be afraid to throw a flag against the Buffalo Bills in a situation like that? Or will it just continue on like it has the last couple of seasons, and the Chiefs are going to get a couple of key penalties? They're going to help sustain a drive, add some extra points somehow that they weren't going to get otherwise. I don't know which way that's going to fall this week either.
You really saw it from national writers, not afraid to criticize the refs in that scenario, in that game. And, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, there's a couple of absolutely crazy calls, and you watch it and just go, what are we doing? What are we doing? Let's let these guys play it out. But, again, you mentioned he does have the ability to sell it, and when he can sell it, you're going to get some of those calls. And then when you're a star in that league, you're going to get some calls as well. That's no different than any other league as well. But it got pretty egregious.
The other game, Eagles and Commanders, I'm leaning toward Philly. I mean, Jaden Daniels has been great. I did not see coming what happened in Detroit, in that game. But I think the Eagles are healthier and deeper than the Lions were. Lions were always on borrowed time this season, and you thought maybe the home field advantage and the Dan Campbell and the fan factor could carry them maybe even all the way to the Super Bowl. But ultimately, they faced the stark reality that they just didn't have enough left on defense against a team and a player as talented as Jaden Daniels. I think the Eagles do have enough, and I think the Commanders are going to struggle to stop Saquon Barkley. Looking at some of the numbers, the second-level tackling, when a running back gets out in, 10 yards deep, they aren't good. And when you're trying to get Saquon Barkley down, he'll be primed to have another big game for the Eagles. I think that's going to be too much to overcome. I think the spread, which was 5, I think when it opened, seemed a little light to me, and I'm definitely leaning toward the Eagles in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, that does seem like a little bit of a light spread. May see where that one goes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all where that one's going to go, and it will depend on the points in that game. But, man, I think, I took the Commanders last week. They looked really, really good, and they're playing with a lot of confidence and, again, playing with a little house money right now, Benny.
So, yeah, it's already moved up to 6 from 5 when it started. Still under that touchdown mark, though. That's 6.5. Probably as good as you're going to get. I doubt it's going to trickle back toward the Commanders. The Chiefs have actually gone from 1.5 to 2-point favorites since the opening lines came out. They're acting like they're the underdogs in this game.
Of course.
They're not. They're the favorites. They're favored by 2. But when you're only favored by 2 at home, you make the argument, hey, that means the odds makers think that Buffalo's a better team than us.
Yeah, they don't believe in us.
Because that means Buffalo would be favored by around 4 if this game was played in Buffalo. So they're going with the nobody believes in us, even though we've won 2 straight Super Bowls. We were the 1 seed and won 15 games in the regular season and have won, 7 or 8 playoff games in a row?
Sounds eerily familiar.
If
I'm being honest with you. Yeah.
Baseball-wise?
Yeah, baseball-wise sounds very, very familiar.
I do remember about that story a little bit.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't like when people point at the Kansas City Chiefs as an argument as to why, hey, no, the system works for, teams can, no one not no one hates the Chiefs, but
a lot of people hate the Chiefs.
A lot of people hate the Chiefs.
I
but
don't hate
it's not a sign that the NFL is broken, that the Chiefs are dominant. Yet we're pointing toward the Dodgers as a sign that baseball is broken because of what they're doing.
Different. I mean, it's apples and oranges. It's way apples and oranges. The Chiefs can't go in and money whip guys next year. They can't defer.
The opposite. As they keep winning, it becomes more and more difficult for them to replace players. They can't afford to keep guys because of the salary cap, so they have to be smarter and even better the next season to win a Super Bowl. And that's not the case in baseball.
We're
seeing
right.
the opposite right now taking place in baseball. Are you guys going to go out to take your pictures? What's going on here?
Yeah, we got to get going.
Okay.
I think it's going to all work out pretty well.
Okay.
We're going to go out and take team photos.
Okay.
And then Woods will return. My team, or we're going to take the big camp photo, and then my team is first, and Woods' team is third, so I'll come back and tag him out. He goes and takes his pictures, and then probably at the bottom of the hour, we should be joined by Mark Davis.
Okay, perfect. And I just need Woods for a couple of minutes for Take on Woods. Do you think that'll be able to happen in our next segment?
Work. Yep.
All right, so if you want to be our contestant for Take on Woods, call into Frank now in the studio, 833-288-0973. He'll get a contestant online during the break, and then you'll have a chance to qualify for our trip to Vegas in our musical trivia challenge coming up in our next segment, 833-288-0973. That is coming up next.
All right, my friends, don't go through another year with all the high-interest debt that you've accrued. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project now. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Their AI-driven technology gets you approved and funded in as little as a day. With low fixed rates, lightning-fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate your debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 619-207-4336, or visit loanpronto.com. Get your free rate quote now with no hard credit pull, 619-207-4336, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Paulie just mentioned coming up later this hour here at Fantasy Camp, we will be joined by 1989 National League Cy Young Award winner Mark Davis. 44 saves that season for the San Diego Padres. I remember, how exciting that was. Hey, wow, we got the Cy Young Award winner. I think only 8 relief pitchers all time have actually won a Cy Young Award.
Pretty insane.
Never chatted with Mark Davis before,
No.
So be interesting to hear back what that year was like for him and his career. He definitely burned bright for a couple of seasons, cashed in with the Kansas City Royals of all teams the next year, if I remember, with a big free agent contract.
Yeah, better to burn out than fade away, Benny. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'd rather have
no.
3 monster seasons than to have 10 years of just kind of plodding along.
Always listed now on the Cy Young
Yeah.
Award winners. Paulie's still out getting pictures taken, but we got Frankie back in the studio. We got a contestant on the line.
Where should I go?
Woods here.
All right, yell at JoJo. I'll go way deep in the
training
trainer's
room, and
Okay.
I'll tell JoJo to get you when it's done. But let's get to it. It is time to take on Woods.
It's time for Take on Woods.
Woods. Woods. All right, it is time to take on Woods and a chance to win our grand prize. It is a 2-night stay in Las Vegas to see the Scorpions. New date for the Scorpions, August 14th, plus a 2-night stay at Planet Hollywood and a $100 gas card. Scorpions are returning with their 60 Years of Scorpions Vegas residency show live August 14th through the 23rd at Planet Hollywood Live at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. We've got John as our contestant on the line. John, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, John, you are up. We're going to just have 2 categories today. Paulie's got the 2-second songs for the other one stashed away somewhere, Frankie. We'll find it for you for tomorrow. So just give you 2 choices today. We've either got hot takes, 5 song titles that begin with the word take, or a mystery category, which could be anything, but the 2-second song will help you unravel all the rest of the song. So 2 choices, hot takes or the mystery category. John, what would you like to play?
Go hot takes.
All right, hot takes. All right, this one pretty simple. 5 song titles that all begin with the word take. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many of the 5 as possible. If you don't know an answer, say pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. You'll go first, then we'll get Woods back from the training room. He'll go second. If you beat or tie him, we'll put you into the drawing for Las Vegas. First question is our 2-second song. Frankie will play it back in the studio. You need to identify the song title and the artist to score that point and go on from there. Frankie, are you ready with the song? All right, Frankie is ready. John, you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get to it. 60 seconds on the clock. John, your time begins when Frankie plays our 2-second song. The category again, hot takes. Good luck, John. Let's take on Woods.
Heard it from a friend who.
Oh gosh, it's REO Speedwagon. Take it to the limit.
Oh, no, that's the Eagles song. Which 1986 song by Berlin was the love theme for the movie Top Gun?
Take my breath away.
That is correct. Ronnie Spector is the Ronnie referenced in which 1986 hit by Eddie Money that leans on the Motown classic Be My Baby by the Ronettes?
Pass.
Which 1972 classic by the Eagles references the town of Winslow, Arizona?
Yeah, that's Eagles. Man, I'm all over the place. Pass.
Ireland's Hozier had a debut hit in 2013 with which song that leans heavily on religious metaphor?
Take me to church.
Oh,
What?
I'm going to give it to you. You
quickest.
got it just in time for that one. Frankie's very tight with the rules here, but we got you with 2 as the score. Time ran out. All right, JoJo, hey, Frankie says it was a minute. I believe him. He's got a clock. He says time ran out. So your score is 2. I'm not going to give the answers out. All right, put you on hold. Stay there because Woodsy's coming back. He did not hear the game. He was deep in the bowels of the training room here at Peoria Sports Complex. All right, Woodsy doesn't get the category. I'm turning it around so you can't see it.
Yeah, I couldn't.
You couldn't hear anything.
I couldn't find any.
John
I couldn't find any Toradol in there. That's what I was looking for.
John's score is locked in. Put 60 seconds back on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Frankie plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on John.
Heard it from a friend who...
That's REO Speedwagon. Take It on the Road.
Correct. Which 1986 song by Berlin was the love theme for the movie?
Take My Breath Away.
Correct. Ronnie Spector is the Ronnie, referenced in which 1986 hit by Eddie
Take
Money?
Me Home Tonight.
Correct. Which 1972 classic by the Eagles references the town of Winslow, Arizona?
Take It Easy.
Correct. Ireland's Hosier had a debut hit
Take
in...
Me to Church.
All right. 5 for 5.
Whoa.
That's an easy.
Man.
Just so John, because he was mad, he felt like he didn't get his full minute. Woodsy needed about 23 seconds to get through all 5 in that category. So,
if only I played baseball as well as I played Take on Woods, I would not be sitting here with you two yokels. I'll tell you that right now.
Hot takes was the category.
Hot takes.
Yeah,
I like
everything
it.
starting with the word take. John, thank you for playing.
John.
You may owe Frank an apology. He was very upset. He felt like the buzzer came much too quickly for his liking.
Johnny, I'm sorry.
Didn't make a difference. He got 2, though. He got 5.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
I think you would have lost it if you had 4 minutes. I think you would have
Italian
lost.
Paul runs a much tighter ship than not
That's what
Italian
I said,
Paul.
and then Frankie defended himself. He said, a minute is a minute, Paulie.
Yep.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
It's like,
It's not
if
even
you
a
want to
minute
give
is
them
a
an
minute.
extra,
I
some
pressed
extra
the
time,
hotkey
that's
button and it ran out. Like, that's set for a minute.
it's set for a minute. It's 1 minute of time. So, anyway.
I made the button. I can confirm.
Yeah,
It's
it's 1 minute.
1 minute.
It's 1 minute.
All right.
It ran out. It was time for the buzzer.
Do I have pictures now, Paulie?
Yes.
Okay,
You
I'm gonna
gotta
go
take
some
your
pictures.
individual and team photos.
My favorite.
And then you'll come back with Mark Davis, who's going to join us in our next segment, Padres Cy Young winner.
All right, don't come back without Mark Davis. If you don't have Mark Davis, don't come back at all. You're bringing him back with you. All right, how are pictures going on out there? So you did a big, giant, like, all-camp picture?
The group photo, yep.
How far away did it have to get to, like,
So,
get everybody in the shots?
Part of the Peoria Sports Complex here, there's a rooftop area. And so the photographer actually went up the stairs to the rooftop and was able to get a good downward shot of the whole camp and all the coaches and trainers and everybody out here. So, we got that done. And then we had our team individual photos and all that. So Woodsy's doing that right now. It is cold.
I believe the rooftop area was where a few years ago they tried to put in a pickleball court up there, but it became too distracting for everybody.
Yeah.
Then they put in the basketball court for a while.
Basketball court's still here.
Basketball court
Yep,
is still
right on
there.
the other side of this
So,
wall
yeah,
here.
you can still shoot some hoops.
Yep.
While you're here at Padres spring training or fantasy camp. I think the pickleball court is gone from the roof.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody playing any pickleball.
I've been up in the roof lately, so they keep updating. The clubhouse we're looking in was added a few years ago as they've made additions over the years here to the Peoria Sports Complex. Opened back in 1994 as the new spring training home for the Mariners and the Padres. Padres moving, of course, from Yuma, Arizona, where they had held spring training from their inception, at the start of the franchise. But everything changes around here. Back in the early days, this was the only thing out here. It was the Peoria Sports Complex. You had, like, the highway, and there was nothing. It was, like, fields and trees, and that was about it. Now, just in this last offseason, they've added 3 more restaurants like in the parking lot here at the Peoria Sports Complex. We're on the Padres side. Used to be just parking all the way to the street. There's now, like, 3 restaurants that you can just walk straight over from the ballpark. If you catch a game at spring training, you come over. 3 new dining options for you. Bell Road wasn't here with every single chain restaurant known to existence. It's quite a different place than it was 30 plus years ago.
Yeah, what gets us every year driving out is, and some of the old heads will remember, that Padres spring training used to be in Yuma.
So easy to get to.
Yeah, easier from San Diego for sure, but, I mean, we usually will stop in Yuma, whether it's for lunch or gas or whatever on the way out, and I'm looking around and I go, this might be the worst spring training area in the history of spring training. Like, what do you got? Hey, guys, we're in Scottsdale tomorrow, so get ready for a 2.5-hour bus ride. And then you're looking around, you're like, there's nothing to do in Yuma. How many times did you make that trip?
I did quite a few, actually, growing up. Desert Sun Stadium was a little bleak, I will say that. It's, nothing like the the complexes of today. It was pretty bare bones.
I mean, it's going to be what it's like in Florida in the Grapefruit League. You have to drive like 2+ hours to every game.
I think they would not always come back to Yuma. Like come and stay for a few days, like a road trip in Phoenix, and then they'd come back and do like a home stand in Yuma as other teams would come in.
So much easier. Guys can take their own personal vehicles to spring training games if they need to, and
it's
just
a lot
road
simpler.
trip over 20 minutes to Surprise or wherever they're going to play.
All right, Woodsy's going to come back from Picture Day. He's supposed to be bringing Mark Davis, the 1989 National League Cy Young Award winner, is going to be with us coming up. First, though, I want to talk about the Barnes firm, injury attorneys with a legal team in San Diego that is very well versed in modern and complex issues. If you are injured in an accident, if you are injured in an accident with a self-driving car, there are legal issues that you probably even thought about, rights, things that affect your safety, and could potentially affect your case, whether it's the software, the programmer, who's designing the car. How does this even work when you're in an accident with a self-driving car? Well, at the Barnes firm, their team of attorneys is prepared to handle all of these complex cases. They stay up to date with all the latest developments in autonomous vehicle technology and regulations to ensure that they can provide you with the best possible legal representation. And when you set up your consultation, it's absolutely free. So why not give them the call at 1-800-8-MILLION? If you're hurt, you need someone representing you, they are ready to step in and do it. If they take your case, they will only get paid if you win your case. So no risk on your part. They will be fighting for you to try to get you a much bigger settlement than you could get going on your own. You just need to make that call. Just keep it in your mind. Hopefully you won't need it, but if you do, either go to thebarnesfirm.com or call 1-800-8-MILLION. Don't face it alone. It could be the best phone call you ever make. Welcome back. It's 9:36 here in Arizona, 8:36 back in San Diego. Ben and Woods live at Padres Fantasy Camp in Peoria, Arizona. And growing up a Padres fan, 1984 was hugely special for me. But after that, there was kind of a dry spell for postseason appearances until 1996. So, every year I just resigned myself. I'm cheering for a batting title for Tony Gwynn. That was all right, that was something I could look forward to and watch in the paper every single day, how he was doing against guys like, Will Clark or whoever he was battling against for the batting title that year. But one year in particular, I got really excited, 1989, because the Padres had a really special season out of the bullpen. It was such a special season, it resulted in one of, I believe, only 8 Cy Young awards ever for a relief pitcher. And joining us right now at Padres Fantasy Camp is the man who won the 1989 National League Cy Young Award out of the bullpen for the San Diego Padres. Mark Davis is here with us on 97.3 The Fan. Mark, it is good to meet you. Thanks for sitting down with us.
It's nice to be here.
So tell me about that season in particular. 1989, you had been with the Giants, came over with Dave Dravecky, you just walked by in the trade. In 1988, you had a good year, and then it just all came together for you in 1989. How do you remember it?
89, I think we had a lot of close games. The team played well, and I seemed to be able to finish games. 88 was a first time I'd really been on the closing end of a lot of games, so it was a little bit more comfortable going into spring training. I was going to be out, and that was what I knew I was going to do. Prior to that, it was a lot of different roles. So 89 to start, we started off well. I was able to get out in some games, so that got me comfortable in this situation. It just seemed to snowball. I think any good year or bad year, things snowball one way or the other. And I've been on the other end of that. So it was nice to be able to reap the benefits of the team doing well and me playing well through the season.
Mark, I think every starting pitcher or every pitcher wants to start. They want the ball every 5 days. They want to go out there and they want to give 7-8 innings. Andy Ashby talked about it yesterday. I need to go out. I give 6, 7, or 8 innings, less than 3 runs, let my team have a chance to win. There comes a time for a lot of pitchers when they say, you're better suited here. Was that a hard adjustment for you when they started moving you around?
I think when I was with San Francisco, for me to adjust to that, I think the realization of I'm not good enough to start. So my best role for me would be to be in the bullpen, whatever role in the bullpen. So that was an adjustment. Like you said, I think everybody that pitches wants to start. You want to have the ball. You want to be able to shake everybody's hand at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And
but
for
you still
me,
get to do that. As a closer,
exactly. But what in my mind, when I was a kid, that was what you did, and the adjustment came more in San Francisco. So when it came down to San Diego, it was more, what do you need me to do? Where can I help the team from whatever role that is? So it just seemed to work out that's what I ended up doing, was closing some games.
Yeah, and there's a time, though, in baseball, and I don't know exactly when it is. It might be fun to go back and look. But at some point, becoming a closer was cool. And being a closer was cool. And being a closer these days is cool. And if you're a closer, you're a lockdown closer, you can make a lot of money, you have a lot of fame, a lot of opportunity to help your team win ball games. I feel like it was kind of around that era maybe where if you were a closer, maybe even a little before, you think about like Lee Smith and Goose Gossage, but Goose would go out and throw the last 3 innings and get a save, and for you, did you feel cool when you were the closer for the San Diego Padres? You were getting all those saves.
Oh, sure I did. I think that you felt that you, like you said, at the end of the game, you shook hands, so it was an instant feel-good situation. And I do feel like the closer role was that in my era. I think now it's opened up to where you have multiple people in games, and basically you will close the 7th, you'll close the 8th, you'll close the 9th. Whenever an important part of the game pops up, everybody in the bullpens looked at closing whatever time they come into the game.
Yeah.
So it's been redefined, and I think there's multiple pitchers that come out of the bullpen that have that same feeling. So I think what you're looking at is a unit. And I think a quality unit gets you a lot more wins. And I think that's, looking at it that way, I think you have a lot more guys that can enjoy the pitchability of whatever time that is in the game, not just the end.
No question.
Talking to Mark Davis, won the 1989 National League Cy Young Award for the Padres. I believe it wasn't until a little bit later, Trevor Hoffman, Hell's Bells, it became fashionable for closers to come in to their own music. I assume you didn't have a walk-in song in 1989?
No, I didn't, and I think it was a little bit different of an era where we would come in in the seventh and you just pitch the rest of the game.
But if you did have a walk-in song in 1989, if you can go back to then, what do you think you would have been coming out of the bullpen to?
Well, when I was with San Francisco, the opening games, when we started games, Fanfare for the Common Man, Emerson, Lake and Palmer is what we came out to. So I always looked at that as the one I would come out to. That was yours.
Talking to Mark Davis here on Ben and Woods this morning. You were just talking to Terry Kennedy and talking about your pitch mix, and you're talking about throwing a changeup every now and then. There's a video of you guys, all the Cy Young Award winners in there. You ever, when you take the mound, how hard is it knowing, all right, I don't feel great, you know, my legs sore, my arm, my elbows barking, I got to get these guys out, right? Like how much of a mental game is it as opposed to fighting through the pain and executing your pitches?
Well, I think when you look at it, everybody that plays the game during a season's not going to feel perfect. So you're going out there just like everybody else is going out there. So it becomes between the ears is the most important part of what you do. Every time you would go out there, I felt like when you stood on the mound and said, I have to do this, nothing good was going to come out of that. So what you tried to get into the mindset of, I get to do this.
Ooh,
so
I like
if you go on the field and I'm throwing the baseball, here, hit it. I've got 7 guys behind me. If that mindset's there and it's basically just in the moment, you feel like the players talk about being in the zone, the more that you can cut it down to just that, I think it's easier to be in the zone because you're only asking yourself to execute a pitch. Whatever happens after that, if I feel like I'm going to get you out, it's going to show in my mannerisms. Just like a hitter when he stands at the plate and you throw a ball in on him and the ball's like an inch from him and he just moves an inch. Oh, that guy's locked in.
He's locked in.
So, but I think that aura you can show on the mound as well. So it's more of a business-like, don't let anything else affect you. This is what I'm going to do. And I think when players are at their best, it's when they cut it down to that one little moment in time and say, this is what I need to do now. I get to do it. I don't have to do it.
Now, every baseball player I've ever met remembers, you grab Ashby and say, hey, who'd you get your first win against? And what did you do? Oh, I threw a 3-2 to this guy. He grounded out to short. He made the throw. It was a little low. He scooped it. So for you, give me a guy in your career that you felt like he can't hit me. And then give me a guy that was like, oh, God, here he comes.
Not really sure. I don't have those
You
moments.
Don't have those?
As far as that goes, I know a lot of people hit me well. So I tended just to try to – I felt like if they were on a hot spell and I was pitching, I felt like, okay, let's go at it. If they weren't hitting well, and I knew that at the time, you just look inside. I wanted to know who was hot in the last 5 or 10 games, who's swinging the bat well. You don't attack those guys as much as you attack the ones that aren't. So you try to put yourself in the best situation. But most of the time, it seemed like I gave up hits to the guys that were hot. Yeah. So ideally, what you're trying to do is make the matchup between somebody that's not hot and go after him that way. I don't know if I really had a bunch of numbers. I just knew I was surprised at how many guys that I pitched against did have good batting averages against me.
Talking to Cy Young Award winner Mark Davis here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. And yesterday we saw a lefty closer, Billy Wagner, elected to the Hall of Fame. But it's kind of rare to see lefties get that role because nowadays when you're left-handed and you're in the bullpen, they need to save you for the left-handed spots in the lineup. Yeah. How different was it back then? Obviously, you were closing, so you came in later in the game, but your manager were they looking at the matchups as much then? Was lefty-lefty as big of a thing as it's become nowadays, it seems like?
One, I think that at that time, if you were the closer, it didn't matter left or right-handed. You were the closer, so you were going to come in late in the game. I think when I was with the Giants out of the bullpen, yes, they did try to match up the lefty. If you're the only lefty in the bullpen, they would warm you up, but it was harder for them to put you in the game because they didn't want to burn you. So they tried to utilize you in the most important point of the game, lefty versus lefty. The having multiple lefties in your bullpen allowed you to warm up and go and pitch in the game. But one interesting fact, when I was at the end of my career, I had gone to spring training with the Marlins and was released. Driving home, Houston asked me to come and throw a bullpen and possibly pitch into a game. So I got there, got dressed, I'm warming up, and there's a little left-hander throwing next to me, throwing pellets. And it was Billy Wagner before Billy Wagner was Billy Wagner.
That's unbelievable.
So I got to look and thought, you know what? I think I'm done.
You didn't know you were comparing yourself to a future Hall of Famer at the moment.
I did not know
but
that he was, at that time, throwing 100, just waiting to go out and crush it for a career.
Well, Mark, it's a pleasure to get to know you. We actually have a panel discussion later that I get to be the moderator, so looking forward to talking a little bit more with all the campers later today. But thank you for sitting down with us for a few minutes.
You're welcome, and I'll see you a little later.
Appreciate it.
Mark Davis even holds the microphone with the left hand.
Oh, yeah.
Cy Young Award winner, 1989 for the San Diego Padres. We're going to check traffic, continuing on here more this hour with Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan. .948 here in Arizona, 8:48 back in San Diego. Bennett Woods continuing on until 10 o'clock this morning. We still have Don't Do This coming up in our 9 o'clock hour, a little pushback today. Saw yesterday, and we had brought this up before on the show, about the one-of-one Paul Skeens baseball card that everyone was looking for, and it was found yesterday. Reportedly, an 11-year-old in Los Angeles has found the card. Now, remember all the offers that were out there. The Pirates have offered like season tickets for the next 30 years.
Yeah. Here it is.
For the card. I mean, people are like nuts to get their hands on this thing, Woodsy.
All right, so proposed trade. The one-of-one Paul Skeens rookie debut patch autograph card. The 11-year-old collector would receive 2 Pirates season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years, a meet and greet with Paul Skeens, 2 Paul Skeens autographed jerseys, softball game for 30 at PNC Park with coaching from Pirates alumni, private tour of Pirate City and Lecom Park, Pirates game with Livy Dunn in her suite, courtesy of Livy. If I'm an 11-year-old kid, I'm making that trade. You can have this piece of cardboard that's signed by Paul Skeens. I'll get the jerseys. I'll get an evening with Livy Dunn. I'll have season tickets behind the plate for 30 years. It's a no-brainer. I mean, it is a no-brainer for me. I'm making that trade ASAP.
I feel like you have to move to Pittsburgh to take advantage of
he's in L.A.
season
That's
tickets.
a good
He's in
point.
Los Angeles, though.
That's a good point.
It's a long way away from Pirates games. So you uproot your entire family?
Yeah, just for that?
All right, so you want to take in – give me one game, do the suite and all that, maybe make a week out of it, have the softball game or whatever, and then you're like, how much value is season tickets behind home plate for 30 years?
It's in the hundreds
and
hundreds
I'll just take
of
that
thousands
cash,
of dollars,
and then here's the card.
But, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, they're talking about the worth of this card.
One-on-one.
Sell it could be even more than that.
Yeah, maybe you throw it in the safe, sit on it, and get it insured and all that, and I mean –
then you're kind of gambling on Paul Skeens in his career.
Yeah, it's true.
And,
That's true.
Him turning into what people think he could turn into. If he just ends up being a good but not great pitcher, that one-on-one, not going to be that valuable. If he goes on to be a Hall of Famer, that thing could be worth millions of dollars.
I am such a strike while the iron's hot kind of guy. I think I would have to take the deal and figure out, hey, I can give these tickets away. I could sell these tickets, whatever, these tickets behind home plate. But be even able to go out there for a week's worth of games would be pretty incredible. And then all the the extras that come with it.
What would you be advising Bo to do if he was the one who found it?
For the Pirates?
Yeah, you're in Southern California.
Yeah, you're in Southern California, so very similar. I mean, obviously Bo's a little younger, but 30 years. What would you tell him to do with it?
I'd probably try to work out some sort of cash deal, put it in an account for him, and go.
Don't put it in the spokes of your bicycle.
It would be tough to turn down that. It'd be tough to turn down that night with Livy Dunn, but Taylor would be all about the night with Livy Dunn. He's a little girl crazy. Bo doesn't. Bo's focused on his athletics.
It's just a night in a suite with Livy Dunn.
Yeah, I know it's not a night with Livy Dunn. It's not an adult film. I get it, but but he like
and he's 11.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, when you're 11, that's Livy Dunn, and you're hanging with her for an hour. She's tousling your hair, and look at you, aren't you cute?
You might not be that interested yet at 11.
Yeah, well, my son is 4, and he's very interested already. So I don't know what to tell you. It's such a conundrum for this kid, but what a cool moment. I can't even imagine the elation, the rush of that.
I laugh because obviously Topps, the baseball card company, makes the decision. They could have made 1, they could have made 1,000.
Yep.
And that changes the entire equation of the economics of this based on what they kind of decide to do.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I've never really been much of a collector. It always feels a bit artificial to me. And I'm not casting aspersions on anyone who collects. If there's personal items to you, that's great. If they're memories, they're part of your childhood, whatever it is, that's fantastic. And keep them and enjoy them. If you're collecting for the rarity to sell them as an investment, for me it always feels artificial.
What about the stock market? Doesn't that feel artificial to you as well? I mean, it's not something tangible. It's all what you make of it. I mean, I'm a collector of things, but I collect things that are important to me.
Yeah, I mean, at least in the stock market, you're buying into a company.
Sure.
You believe in the product, who it's going. I get with a baseball
certainly
card.
It's in the ether. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At least with a baseball card you can hold.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, it's a thing, but it's also a thing that was just randomly put into the universe by this company that said, I'm going to make 1 of these baseball cards.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to make 1 million of these baseball cards. And I'm going to decide.
It's got his debut patch. That's what's making it
okay.
so special.
Okay. Yeah, the debut patch. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. It'll be interesting to follow along and see how that transpires and what his family decides to do. But man, what a moment!
Especially this kid getting a night with Livy Dunn.
Yeah, gets a whole night with Livy Dunn. She's like,
indecent proposal.
Yeah, I didn't agree to this.
Paul's like, all right, I want that card back. Here's my girlfriend.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Well, listen, that's a big one. That's a big pull, as the kids say. It's a huge, huge pull. Getting that.
Glad I guess the kid got it and not some guy that that's all he does is break cards.
That's true. That's true. I was
rip
definitely
packs, trying to find it.
I was not looking forward to the headline. 63-year-old man, gets one of one Paul Skeens.
Yeah, I know.
This feels different than the kid getting that Wemby basketball jersey. And
then
the kid was like 4 years old, by the way. And then all of a sudden it's on Golden Auctions a day later. You're like, oh, that feels a little dirty.
And isn't there was a thing where people were taking unopened cards to MRIs and stuff?
There's all kinds of ways.
Try to figure out what was in there before they actually buying them or opening them.
100%.
That feels kind of dirty to me.
Of course.
And hopefully this is just kid bought a pack of baseball cards and
pulled it out.
It's like having the winning scratcher
so good
to a lottery.
I don't know how that works. When you pull the pack, putting your fingerprints on it even for a second, does that ruin it?
Yeah, you have to get it graded and all that. It's nuts.
All right, we're going to take time out. We got 1 hour to go. We are live here at Padres Fantasy Camp. More to get to, including Don't Do This. So stick around for more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3. The Reading this tweet right now. It says, breaks are more powerful than we realize. Even a 1 to 2 minute micro break can restore focus and boost mood. Does anyone feel better after our 1 to 2 minute micro break? Woodsy's not even done with his break. He's still putting on his cleats.
Ready to change.
Shoes for the upcoming game, so getting dressed. Because you had to wear your white unis for the pictures, and now you're into your brown unis for the games.
Yeah.
I mean, will this never stop for you two?
It's just somebody's got to do it, though.
It's the labor of love.
I will say these sand uniforms are by far my favorite in 6 years of fantasy camp.
I didn't think I would. I didn't think I would like the sand. I absolutely love the sand.
Well, I think it's slimming. The sand color, the vertical pinstripes. I think all the fantasy campers look a little bit better in these sand-colored jerseys.
Yes. Love it. I love the way they look. I love
And
the way they feel.
Good.
Yeah, they do.
Feel really good.
You feel good playing in them. All right. I think I'm ready.
All right. Underway at the Farmers Insurance Open now, just getting started. First round of the Farmers Insurance Open.
You were going to do this
Pines.
after we left.
Yeah, this was like this is like post Paulie and Woodsy, right?
Well, I've got Don't Do This coming up at 9:20.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And then maybe a little bit more. I wasn't going to talk about the Farmers, though. I actually was going to talk about tonight's game at Airforce, SDSU. And I wanted to point out.
What's the line on that game?
I think it was 9, maybe?
We talked about San Diego State. They don't lose.
They don't lose two in a row. Yeah.
They don't. It's better when they're at home on the second one. They're not at home. But when they lost to UNLV, I pointed out that San Diego State has pushed themselves kind of close to the bubble, and I had some people pushing back going, I mean, yeah, it wasn't a good loss, but they're not on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. So some new brackets came out yesterday. Like Andy Katz has them as one of the last 4 teams in the play-in game as an 11 seed already after just the one stumble basically to UNLV. Lunardi has them just outside like the first team that's not in the playoff. The play-in game is a 10 seed, so there really is no more margin for error. A loss doesn't put you on the bubble. A loss puts you now probably on the wrong side of the bubble for San Diego State. So they've used up all of their goodwill, the win over Houston, the win over Creighton, and the road win at Boise State, and one loss at home to UNLV has now basically sapped all of that out, and they now have to play, not perfect basketball, but they can't be losing games they're supposed to win going forward, starting tonight at Air Force. Clearly,
yeah, it'd be a real bummer, man, to get to have that early season success and end up where you don't even want to throw it out in the atmosphere of what could happen. That's a team that's talented enough to, of course, be one of the last 64 teams, and they have to find a way to get it done. They have to. I mean, they're too talented not to. And again, early season success, we all kind of thought they had it. Oh, okay, they're gonna figure this out and get even better. But man, they've had some really, really tough ones.
I do think that we've gotten a little spoiled. Obviously, I mean, teams don't make the NCAA tournament every single year.
The Aztecs should.
Even the Blue Bloods,
talent.
even North Carolina and Kentucky occasionally miss the NCAA tournament. The only team that makes it every year is Gonzaga. And part of it is because of the conference they play in. They're a really great program, obviously, but they don't have any setbacks. They have pretty much gamed the system where they get there every single year. But there's going to be a down season every once in a while for every program. You can't expect to reload every single year and just be right where you left off. It was amazing how well this young team started out.
That's the thing is you started out well. You want some big games early. And it gets that hope up of, we're going to cruise to the tournament now. There's no cruising right now for the Aztecs, and they got to win this game tonight.
But that's not an indictment on Brian Dutcher or the program or anything like that. This is a normal process for a younger team that's going to have some highs and some lows. Last couple of weeks, we've just seen a couple of the lows. And hopefully, you trust that Brian Dutcher figures things out. You see what they did in practice? I thought this was interesting. So I don't know if you remember the UNLV game. They started by shooting, the first 10 shots were all three-pointers, and they only made one of them, or first 9. And a couple of them were, NBA range threes. And Dutch is occasionally you're going to need to shoot one of those, especially you're getting down, 5 seconds on the shot clock. That might be the best shot you got. It's a long three. We make some of them sometimes. It's fine. You don't want to shoot those with 23 seconds left on the shot clock. You want to try to work your way for a better shot. And Dutch goes, I could show them in film, Or we could make it a little more memorable. So he actually blew up giant like posters of the guys, how far they were shooting with the shot clock going, and they put them up at practice in their practice gym. The what is it called?
Doesn't matter.
I can't remember what's
Peterson Gym?
No, the Jam Center, and like posted them out and go, all right,
this is where you were.
This is where you were when you shot a three-pointer with like 18 seconds left on the shot clock. We're not going to be doing that going forward. So
kids need visuals. That's one thing I've learned as a father. The visual explanation is always better than your words.
So my guess is one thing you won't see tonight at Air Force are early threes jacked up from 6 feet beyond the three-point line.
I say for kids, but for everyone. I mean, if you could say, hey, buddy, this was your follow-through on your golf swing. This is what it looked like. I have it on video. You're like, oh, yeah, that's absolutely terrible. I take video of Bo hitting off the tee. I'm like, you're dragging. He's like, I don't know what that means. You show him, see your arm, look where it is. He's like, oh, okay. That's real. I mean, that's good. That's good from Dutch. It probably lightens the mood a little bit, too, when they walk out there and they see all of these dummies in their terrible spots.
And remember, Dutch has to make do, with – guy like Lamont Butler's having a great season for Kentucky this year. How about Chad Baker-Mazara? Remember him?
I
spent
do.
a season in the San Diego State program. Grades weren't great. Ended up transferring to a JC. He's now one of the best players on the number one team in the country, Auburn, and helping the Tigers. They are the unanimous number one team in the country this week. And Chad Baker-Mazara, who started at San Diego State, is one of their key contributors and starters on the team. So these are guys that Dutch recruited and developed and have gone on to success elsewhere. And, Dutch has to just keep
and that's awesome.
Restocking.
But if you miss the tournament, no one's going to say, but, hey, at least some guys that used to be in our program are having really great success on elite teams.
People will say that. Somebody I know. So, hey, well, look at not a total loss for Dutch. He's got Lamont Butler.
We can hang that banner in Viejas Arena.
Chad Baker-Mazara, and they're starring in the tournament.
I mean, in the old days, you'd look at this San Diego State team with 3 freshmen and 3 sophomores all playing key roles, and you'd go, if you make the tournament this year, it's gravy. You get there, it's a little extra experience, but wait until next year, and then the year after, when these guys are all seniors and juniors.
Doesn't happen anymore.
You're going to be a top 4 team. I mean, you're going to be a Final Four contender, but
that doesn't
does
happen.
anyone expect all of the, Miles Bird, B.J. Davis, Magoon Gua, Farrell Compton,
they're all
Taj
coming back.
DeGorville, all going to be here for the next 3 seasons?
No, you can almost guarantee
whether
it's
they
not
go to the
gonna be
NBA, they transfer for NIL money. None. I mean, you'll be lucky if 1 or 2 of those guys are still here in 2 years. Hopefully a few of them at least come back next year. But the odds that a majority of them are back in 2 years probably very small at this point.
Yeah, such as college. Well, there's Terry Kennedy wants to change the rules again. All right. Okay, college kids sign a contract.
They're getting a scholarship, sign a contract. But what about the coaches who then leave? They sign a contract and then they get a better one and they're gone after a year.
Happens
after
all
they
the
got
time.
recruited. You let kids out of their scholarship after the coach leaves and goes for a bigger deal somewhere else. TK.
By the way, Terry Kennedy and I have made peace.
Oh, good.
We have made peace. We have
because last year
I don't know how we got off to the wrong foot last year, but for the audience, bring it in.
Put you on
That's what it was. Bring it in for the real.
Yeah. So last year, if you'll remember at Fantasy Camp, Terry Kennedy actually traded Woods. It was the first ever trade in the history of Padres Fantasy Camp. And you just needed something to shake up your roster, I think.
I guess.
Things weren't going great. Sometimes you shake up your roster, you make a move.
The guy they traded for me, Josh, first play of the first game, he popped his hammy.
He was in
done.
right field. They hit one down the line, and he was running after it. He took about 2 steps, pop, hit the ground. He was done the rest of the week.
I was shook, though. I mean, I think I K'd 3 times. I was shook when I got traded. I didn't like it. I didn't want to make history, and no trades so far this year.
Gives you some perspective for the guys who have to deal with it in real life. And figure out how to uproot their families and go to a different city.
Can you imagine? All I had to do was change.
Traded.
I didn't have to change locker. I just go to a different field. It was, there's one thing that
gets in your head, though.
There's one thing that Fantasy Camp does give you, in its perspective. It really is. And Hoffy. Everyone knows the story of Hoffy heckling me a few years ago. Couldn't throw a strike, and then when I walked off the mound, he goes, "Now do that in front of 40,000 people." And he goes, "Next time you guys want to rip a player, remember that feeling. And I was like, why did you make me feel this way, Hoffy? I didn't want to feel this way. But, yeah, I mean, the work these guys put in. We've talked to the trainers a bunch about just what it takes to get these dudes on the field sometimes. And it is just it's insane to think about, the travel, all of that. So it gives you a little bit of perspective out here when you want to get on and go, these guys aren't focused. They're not running hard. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. It is just a shock to the system.
And obviously most people aren't going to be lucky enough to get to experience fantasy camp. But, you know, if you're listening, hopefully we can convey some of that. And you know what? Sometimes professional athletes are due some criticism. Most of them realize it's part of the gig. Sometimes it's taking a little bit of grief from fans, you know, taking some heckling. If you're on the road, you certainly –
yeah, you know it's coming.
You know it's coming. I think it's when it comes from your home fans is when I think it's the hardest for players, because then you feel like you're letting someone down. If you're getting heckled on the road, you probably feel kind of good about it. Like,
yeah, they know who you are.
They know who I am. I'm a thorn in their side. They're mad at me, so they're heckling. You're like, you don't have a problem with that at all. It's when it comes from your own fans, because you feel like, oh, I'm disappointing these people. You know, they're paying to come see me, and for whatever reason, we're not winning enough, and they're not happy with us. They're not happy with my performance. That's got to eat at you a little bit.
No doubt. No question about it. All right, we're going to get out of here,
yeah?
All right.
So I'll do our Don't Do This segment when we come back. We may bring back one of our conversations had some great guests on earlier today here at Fantasy Camp. It's really been a fun second morning. We are here all week, so we'll get to Don't Do This coming up next. I'll talk a little bit more about who is that one guy that did not vote for Ichiro for the Hall of Fame. Coming up, First Woods.
California sports fan, good news. Underdog available to play in our state. The best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs. Which players will go off? Which players are going to be ice cold? It's tough picking out there for sure. But listen, with Underdog, you're going to have a lot of fun when you play. And you guys know how this works, right? They're going to go higher or they're going to go lower. And you pick it, and every dog deserves a second chance. With Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back, receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. I've done that before. Picked a guy, gets hurt, second play of the game, and I'm out of it. I'm not winning anything at this point. But again, Underdog, having a blast with it. And I've heard from some tier ones out there that have signed up, used the promo code Woods. I really, really appreciate that, number one. Number two, have fun with it, be responsible with it, but it is the best place to play Pick'em. Download the Underdog app, sign up with the promo code Woods, deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, use the promo code Woods when you sign up. Must be 18 and over, present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot. You moron.
Dumbass.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't do this.
Do not tweet that.
With Ben and Woods.
I like a Nickelback song or two.
On 97.3 The Fan.
Good morning.
But somehow was left off of one single solitary ballot. 394 ballots, 393 votes. And because of that, he fails to join Mariano Rivera as the only players ever unanimously elected to the Hall of Fame. Now, it's already ridiculous that there's only one. And it was ridiculous before Mariano that there wasn't anyone inducted into the Hall of Fame unanimously. We still, as far as I know, have not learned the identity of the Baseball Writers Association of America voter who did not vote for Ichiro, or any reasons why that may have happened. I mean, there's speculation, obviously, mostly centered around some numbskull is looking for attention, and that's why they didn't vote for Ichiro. You know, they're going to say, I don't vote for anyone on the first ballot. No one deserves to get in on the first ballot unless you're the greatest player of all time. Whatever it is, 393 other people agreed on this, Frank. It does seem very weird that there was just the one that did not.
And if it is just somebody looking for some notoriety, you should have your vote stripped. I'm sorry, you should not be able to vote. If you're going to play games like that, you should have your vote stripped. That you should not be allowed to vote for it.
Well, I tend to think so as well. I mean, was it simply a clerical error, like someone checked the wrong box, and looked like Ichiro was the one next to him? That's understandable, but then the don't do this would be on the Baseball Writers Association. Hey, how about something where there's like a double check? They're still going with the old mail it out and put a check mark in process for this. There's not a way to, confirm. And I also have heard the calls of people who go, well, this should be everybody's ballot should be made public at the end of the process. And while I am sympathetic to that, I do also realize that sometimes you do have to make an unpopular choice. And, if you really believe someone doesn't belong, you don't want to feel like shamed into voting for someone you didn't believe in because your vote's going to be public at the end. Do you think you get a more honest ballot from writers, not for Ichiro necessarily, but, more, 50-50 candidates knowing that, hey, I'm going to get so much grief if I leave this guy off. I'm just going to vote yes because I don't want to get all the Twitter trolls and, everyone coming after me. You don't necessarily want that either.
If you can back up, like I would say Mike Mussina, while he was good, I mean, he wasn't, when I think of Hall of Fame, I think of standout player in your generation. I didn't see Mike Mussina as that, so I wouldn't have thought that he would have gotten in. If you can back up why you didn't vote for somebody with like an actual argument instead of, I was just looking for attention, yeah, then fine. Then that's okay. I can understand that. But if you're just doing it to get attention, I'm sorry, you should not be allowed to have the power to vote for somebody to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, if someone's doing it for attention, they're doing a lousy job because they haven't made themselves public. So
Exactly.
You don't get any attention until you announce who you are. Maybe they have some second thoughts, like, I didn't think I'd be the only one. This is bad. So we'll see if there's anyone steps up and has the gumption to admit to it. I thought it was funny. Our friend Adam Jones tweeted out kind of jokingly. He got 3 votes. So, his first year on the ballot, he doesn't carry over to year number 2, and he was never expecting to. But he goes, I think one of those 3 came from the person who didn't vote for Ichiro for the Hall of Fame. So Adam having some lighthearted fun with that. All right, story number 2 for Don't Do This comes from the National Hockey League last night. Just saw this story. I've seen all kinds of excuses in sports. This is a new one for me. Washington Capitals goalie Logan Thompson says he allowed a goal last night to Corey Perry of the Edmonton Oilers because of nachos. Yeah, so apparently in the third period, the Caps were up 3-1. And sometime in the first 5 minutes of the period, a fan threw a tray of nachos, a little paper basket of nachos onto the ice. And Logan Thompson was like trying to point to the officials, hey, that's a hazard. You need to get the nachos off. But no one saw him pointing it out. And while he was trying to point it out to the officials, Corey Perry scored on him. And they said, wait, hold on. I was pointing out these nachos and not doing what I should have been doing, the goaltending in the game. That they did end up holding on for the 3-2 win, so it didn't cost them a victory. But the Capitals coach Spencer Carberry said that's first. I've never seen nachos on the ice in the National Hockey League, and certainly nachos that play a part in the game. Goalkeeper Logan Thompson said, obviously I got to play to the whistle. That is on me. I did end up with 30 saves and got the win. But, nachos on the ice, not good. Not good, Frank.
No, it's not. And did he say what he did? Did he just try to yell for the officials? Because my first thing is, you see it every time, the penalty's winding down, goalie smacking the stick on the ice. You don't miss that noise, and you always look over every time.
What's going on? And now the rules state, and this is quote, in the event that objects are thrown on the ice that interfere with the progress of the game, the referee shall blow the whistle, stop the play, and the puck shall be faced off at the face-off spot in the zone nearest to the spot where play is stopped. It's just the nachos weren't interfering with anyone, and the referees hadn't stopped the whistle. He was just trying to get them to stop the game and take the nachos off of the ice. Don't throw nachos. Don't throw any nachos. I mean, you paid for the nachos. Why would you throw nachos onto the ice?
I agree, especially with how expensive those nachos are becoming, especially at an NHL arena. How much time did he have, too? I mean, there's a couple of things that I'm thinking of. If he was screaming for them for 10 seconds, he could have easily just slid them against the boards. Goalies do that with broken sticks all the time. They'll just slide them out of the way.
It was out from the net because the shot came from Perry, came from near the nachos.
Oh, good. That's another thing. That's another sentence that was never uttered before.
No, yes.
The goal was scored near the nachos.
Yeah, scored near the nachos. All right, finally a little do this. I like this story.
DD mega doo-doo.
So we've seen this actually from the Bills Mafia, which is the Buffalo Bills fan club in the past, where they take up a cause for one of their opponents. And obviously the Bills are going to the AFC Championship game thanks to the heartbreak suffered by Mark Andrews, who not only had a fumble in the second half, but also failed to catch the 2-point conversion that would have tied the game and potentially forced overtime in their divisional round matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Buffalo may have gone down the field, kicked a field goal and won anyway, but I'm sure Mark Andrews is feeling bad about this one. So the Bills fans have taken up the cause, and Mark Andrews is a big supporter of the Breakthrough T1D charity, which is a foundation that is fighting type 1 diabetes, something that Peter Seidler, I'm looking at a picture of him right now here at Fantasy Camp, he suffered from and donated a lot of his time, energy, and money toward type 1 diabetes. My son suffers from it as well, so I know what a great cause it is. They started a GoFundMe in Mark Andrews' name, and at last count, this was I think last night, Bills Mafia has already raised over $32,000 for the Breakthrough T1D charity to help Mark Andrews, who dropped the 2-point conversion, feel a little bit better about the whole thing and how the season ended.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely fantastic. And as a New Yorker, I know that New Yorkers can be very, very charitable when they need to be, and when they want to be. However, Buffalo basically being Southern Canada, I don't know if I can take full credit for that as a New Yorker.
Well, anyway, I mean, I don't know if it actually makes Mark Andrews feel that better. He's still gonna feel pretty bad that it's the Buffalo Bills who are going on to the AFC Championship, but at least
it's the Bills fans
good.
That are doing it too, not the Baltimore fans.
Is.
Hey, we're rallying around you. No, it's get away from me.
But thank you again for dropping that pass and letting our team go on instead of your team. And that's Don't and Do This for a Wednesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, when we come back, I want to tell a little story about something that happened to me yesterday while I was away from fantasy camp here in Arizona. Paul and Woods were not there with me, but I will share that. And I think we're going to bring back our conversation with Wally Joyner. If you missed it earlier, got to sit down, had not talked to Wally before on the show. Really great discussion with the former Rookie of the Year, or Rookie of the Year runner-up, All-Star, and Padres first baseman from the late 90s. So we'll get to all of that coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We back, Frankie? Had to run to the restroom there. We are back. Final segment of Ben and Woods here on a Wednesday, live from Padres Fantasy Camp in Peoria, Arizona. So yesterday, I got Frank Marchese back in the studios. Paulie and Woods are out in the fields. After the show, they went out and they had a doubleheader of baseball games, and I had a few hours to kill. So I went out to one of the local golf courses in the area just by myself and said, hey, can you get me out? Sure. They put me out as a single, and I ended up joining a guy from Northern California. And he was a decent player, so we had a good round. We're walking, and eventually, topic comes up. What do you do? I said, I'm here, Padres Fantasy Camp. I'm a radio host, so, we're the flagship station. We talk about the games. And he goes, I'm a Dodgers fan, just kind of grew up that way, and I've been a Dodgers fan my whole life. And then unsolicited, I didn't say anything. Unsolicited, he goes, I really don't think what the Dodgers are doing is good for baseball. Like, I didn't say it. I did not bring, I swear to God, Frank, I did not egg him on. I did not bring it up. He simply said on his own volition, as a self-avowed Dodgers fan, he goes, I just don't think what they're doing is good for the game of baseball. I don't want them to just grabbing every free agent and everything like that.
We found a rational Dodger fan. All right.
How about that?
Let's go.
How about that? So, you know what? They are out there. They do exist, and they do recognize that, maybe even though it's good for their particular team and winning another World Series or having a better chance at winning another World Series, that overall for the competition, for the rest of the fan bases in Major League Baseball, that spending, more than double most other teams in baseball is not a sustainable, successful business model for the sport.
It's almost like that guy should be given the job as a national writer.
I said, well, I mean, it's weird how many people don't, you're a Dodgers fan. I'd excuse you just being through the moon with all the signings. Just celebrate it. You enjoy it as a fan. You get this kind of experience so rarely usually, but no, he was like, no, I don't think this is the right thing. So Ken, appreciate your honesty and candor yesterday during our round of golf. And he also, he inspired me. I played pretty well. I shot a 79, so I was pretty happy with my game yesterday. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to check traffic. When we come back, we're going to bring back our interview. If you missed it, earlier in the show today, Wally Joyner sat down with us at Fantasy Camp, has not been at Fantasy Camp before, has not been on the Ben and Woods program before. Obviously, great Padres first baseman from the late 90s. We talked a little bit about his Angels days, his coaching days as a hitting coach, both with the Padres and the Detroit Tigers. So Wally Joyner coming up next here with Ben and Woods on the Fan. He took baseball by storm in 1986 when the Big A in Anaheim became Wally World after the Vacation movie. And he was, I think, runner-up to Jose Canseco and Rookie of the Year. He was the starting all-star first baseman for the American League in 1986 as well. Of course, went on to play for the San Diego Padres later in his career, became a hitting coach for the Padres and the Detroit Tigers in his career as well as a coach. And now he is here at Padres Fantasy Camp. He is joining us right now, picking up the microphone. It is our pleasure to welcome to Ben and Woods, the great Wally Joyner is with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Wally, it is nice to meet you in person. Good to see you. And welcome to Fantasy Camp.
I appreciate that.
How you doing?
I'm a little sore.
Yeah. I mean, imagine how we're feeling.
Third day in camp, you got to get a little sore.
Yeah. Man, you had such a great career. Such a great career.
Thank you.
I remember being a kid and playing baseball in high school. And they had me at third, and they realized, probably not the best spot for him. Let's move him over to first. And I didn't have a first baseman's mitt, so I went and bought one, and it was a Wally Joyner model. And I remember it to this day. I remember looking down in there going, oh, hell yeah, that's a Wally Joyner. I remember your rookie card with the Topps rookie card with the little trophy off to the side, had it forever. And it's just wild to see you here in person, knowing, I spit into your glove 7,000 times when I was a kid.
Yes,
man.
sir.
It was great. Tell us about. I'm reading this, and did somebody really throw a knife at you when you were playing? Is that a true story?
I don't. I think it was just an angry Yankee fan.
Yeah.
That he just heaved it out.
A knife.
Yeah.
An actual knife.
We had a 2-game series with the Yankees. Mike Witt threw a complete game. We got the last out in Yankee Stadium. We were on the mound congratulating him, and everybody. And I had just high-fived Mike Witt, and I turned around, and something hit me right in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And I thought it was Mike wanting to say something to me, so I looked back at him, and I said, "What do you need?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I said. And then we looked down in the ground, and there was a buck knife with the blade about 5 inches sticking in the ground.
I am speechless
Yeah.
right now. That obviously should never happen. Was that a common thing for you in New York, or for you guys when you played in New York? That was
a one and done. The rest of the story was when the Yankees came to Anaheim. Dave Winfield ran out to right field, and he was pelted with rubber knives that said, "Welcome to Wally World." So it was pretty good.
Unbelievable, man.
Wally, we just saw Jackson Merrill of the Padres have an incredible rookie season. Finished runner-up in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. I thought he should have won it. You did the same with the California Angels in 1986. Tell me about that, the phenomenon of Wally World. Did you know, were you confident going in you were going to have a good season? Because it takes guys sometimes, a couple of years to, adapt to Major League pitching and just get comfortable. Why did you feel like you had so much success so early on in your career?
No, I absolutely didn't know. I was an unknown that was playing first after Rod Carew played his career. The Angels made a decision to let him go, and went to spring training, had a good spring training, had a great veteran team to break in with, which I think helped me quite a bit. I had Bobby Grich at second base, Doug DeCinces at third. Bob Boone, one of my best friends, was catching every day. A lot of people didn't care for our manager, Gene Mock. I loved him. I learned a lot from Gene about how to play the game of baseball, which I think was very helpful. George Hendrick, Reggie Jackson, they were both on the team. So I just kept my mouth shut, my eyes open, and I learned a lot that year. Don Sutton was one of our pitchers. So it was a veteran-laden team. I got off to a quick and fast start, and I had a lot of support by these guys, and I think that was very helpful.
Talking to Wally Joyner here on Ben and Woods this morning, and you're a fantasy camp coach, but after your playing career, you coach a bunch of different teams, many different roles. More frustrating coaching big leaguers or coaching these guys, teaching them how to hit?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but you have to have a little talent.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Allegedly. Right.
Yeah. No, the big leaguers were so much fun. I absolutely enjoyed every day that I had a chance to coach. My last 3 years, I was blessed with being with Brad Osmus and with the Detroit Tigers, and my job on that team was just to make sure everybody showed up on time. We had Victor Martinez, Miguel Cabrera, Ian Kinsler, J.D. Martinez, Nick Castellanos. So I just stayed out of their way.
You just fed the tea.
I did.
You put this here? And
I think my the best coaching I gave all of them was to do it again.
Yeah.
Right?
Do it again.
Just do it again. So, 2016 was my last year. It was 30 years in the game, and I've enjoyed my time post-career, post-coaching. But this week has been a lot of fun.
Do you watch much baseball now?
Oh, sure.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you like? When you watch guys hit, anybody that you look at and say, that guy, he's got a little Wally Joyner in him?
Well, I'm fond with, J.D. Martinez broke in. His he actually struggled a little bit with Houston Astros, and then we picked him up. And my assistant coach, Darnell Coles, who does and still does a great job, he's with the Washington Nationals. They hit it off. And so I watched J.D., I watched Nick Castellanos with the Phillies. I'll watch my Padres. I wish I could watch the Angels, but it's frustrating.
Tough, yeah.
It's tough to watch them. I love them, and I want them to be successful, but, it just seems like they just can't figure it out yet. So hopefully this year will be different.
One step forward, a couple steps back. With the Angels, we have Angel fans that listen to us. Being in close proximity, and I think we're in kind of lockstep. We've had some playoff success and made some runs, and man, they've had some really great players, and just hasn't seemed to click. They've obviously had a lot of tragedy in the organization as well.
Injuries,
tragedy, and it's just been one gut punch after another.
You got to give the owner credit for he's gone out and gotten the players, and it just hasn't worked out. Some of the players have had some season-long injuries that puts a big void in that lineup. But when you have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani for a number of years, you would hope that you could get to the postseason.
No doubt.
So,
talking to Wally Joyner here at Padres Fantasy Camp, and he came to San Diego a decade into your career, 1996. Joined a team playing for Bruce Bochy that was looking for a playoff appearance after a long time, and obviously the 96 season beating out the Dodgers at the end, and then 1998 going to the World Series against the Yankees. What were some of one or two of your favorite memories of that era, those years with the San Diego Padres?
Well, I got to say that the fans were incredible. The owners, John Moores, Larry Lucchino, they put a great product on the field, and the fans appreciated it. They came out and they supported us, and I think 96 was a stepping stone to 98. We got some nice pieces put together in 96. We finished off in 98, Kevin Brown and a few more guys that year that kind of solidified our team, and off we go. So, the whole year of 98, we actually still have a 98 thread.
Oh, we've heard.
That is epic.
Yeah.
Nothing is off limits.
Right.
And we love each other. We get together as much as we can. But, I don't know. I mentioned this in a Padre article that one of my memories in 98 was the amazing reaction by the fans after we lost Game 4. And we're all dejected and exhausted, and all of a sudden we hear this noise out in the stadium, and nobody left. Everybody started to cheer, and I'll never forget that.
Special.
Something I remember from that season when you bring up the fans, I was a young man, Padres fan in that season, and I remember going to Game 4 of the NLCS against the Braves. You guys are already up 3-0, and it was probably an hour before the game. Braves were out taking batting practice, but the stadium was already almost full, and the fans just started chanting, "Sweep, sweep, sweep," and I looked at the Braves. The Brave players were looking around, going, "What is going on here? This is crazy." Now, they didn't win that game. Ended up taking the series in 6, but I still get chills thinking about that moment, sitting in Qualcomm Stadium before Game 4 of the National League Championship Series.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I played one more year with the Padres in '99. Then I was traded to the Braves 2 years after the World Series, and that was one of the first things all the Braves who were on that team said to me was how passionate the fans were, how loud that place was. I mean, when you pack Murph, there's a lot of people, and it gets rocking, and it was so much fun to be a part of that.
Oh, I bet. It's and San Diego shows if there's a good product on the field, they will come out and they will be loud. Last year I was at one of the playoff games, and I'd never seen anything like it. And even many of the Dodgers called it the best atmosphere in baseball. And, that's what we want to get back to. And I know you want the same for your Angels as well. I wanted to shift gears just quickly and talk about hitting. It's one of my favorite things to listen to people talk about. Yeah, because I can't hit, Randy, so I want to learn as much about hitting as I can. I got Wally Joyner here, and he's got over 2,000 hits. Yeah, so I want to hear from him.
I just want you to know it's the early 80s when I met Wally.
Yeah.
And he didn't have hair then.
It's one of my weaknesses, Randy.
It's his look. He looks.
Keep it.
He's the guy who looked most like the mascot of his own team
Yes, sir.
when he came to be with the Friars.
Ball. I love it.
Randy, there's only so many perfect heads in the world, and I need to show it off, I guess.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
So over the last, there was this weird period in baseball where it was the, 3 true outcome. It was strikeout, it was walk, it was home run. And guys figured out if I can hit 40 homers, I can make a buttload of money out there doing it. Have you seen in baseball, and I know there's not as many 300 hitters as there used to be. I value them. I think anybody that can get a hit, it's the hardest thing to do in sports. And the more you can get, the better off your chances will be. With some of the rule changes, and are you seeing a little bit of a return to baseball like you guys used to play it?
Yeah, I take hitting very seriously.
Sure.
And I had a lot of fights with executives when I was the hitting coach of the teams I was with. They wanted to really go in a different direction, launch angle.
Yeah.
And they picked out different things that they felt were more important.
Sure. What was the most important thing to you as a hitting coach? Barrel? Just hit the ball hard? Barrel it?
Plate coverage.
Plate coverage, yeah.
Understanding the strike zone.
Yep.
Throughout my career, there were, a lot of hitting coaches I was with and hitting coaches on the other team and players. We all had different ideas, but one of the things that stuck with me, because I played defense also,
sure,
and I understood how escalated the inning can be when there's men on base.
Yeah.
And so on base percentage, getting on base, pitch count, all of those things are important. But as an individual, I needed to understand what my pitches were that I wanted to look for.
Sure.
If I kept looking for the pitcher's best pitch, I'd walk back to the dugout.
Sure.
Because he's making a lot of money out there.
Yeah.
Because he's got a great pitch that gets you out, right? So I'm trying to get the second or third or fourth pitch that he has to throw to me because it's not his best pitch, and I have a better chance of getting on base and making contact and getting a hit. So the understand, I mean, it's boring, but get on base.
It's not.
Get on base.
I love it.
And let the next guy, if he gets on base, now there's two guys. Nobody out.
Now the defense is puckered, yeah.
Right? Now the pitcher's puckering.
Yeah.
Now his best pitch of a slider is going to hang a little bit because he's going to tighten up a little bit. So all of these.
That was us with Wally Joyner earlier today. We're kind of wrapping it up here last couple of minutes here on Ben and Woods on a Wednesday. We'll be back here Thursday and Friday morning. Did have a little baseball news. Tim Anderson, shortstop, just signed a minor league deal with the Los Angeles Angels. Going to play for Ron Washington's team next year. And just had some soccer news as well this morning. And for both of our local teams, breaking news, the San Diego FC getting ready for their first season. Just signed another big international star, Anders Dreyer, from the Danish league. He's going to be their second designated player along with Chucky Lozano. And the Wave have reportedly traded Naomi Girma, one of their best players, to Chelsea in a big, $1.1 million sale. So Craig and Annie will have more on that coming up next. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks to Frank back in our studio. I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday from all of us here at 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.